Chapter 269. Wife. Hit his devil egg. Break his balls. Hearing Ning Tian's shout, the group of Jade Lake's elders and disciples on the ground were dumbfounded. Why did Patriarch's words sound a little off? This was too ruthless. Roar. Hearing this, the sealed flame lion king, who was the second male creature present besides Ning Tian, panicked when he heard this. It even felt a chilly wind blowing from below. It was so scared that it quickly tightened its legs and shivered. He didn't expect his master to have such a hobby. In that case, it would have to please its master properly in the future. Otherwise, what would it do if it lost its masculinity? It was determined not only to become a peerless beast king, but also to unify the pride of lionesses. Not far away, the two women heard Ning Tian's words and nodded silently. If he was not mistaken, this demon-slaying egg should be a life-saving enhancement method of the demon clan. It was likely that when the devil egg hatched naturally, the strength of the devil fiend would increase once again. And now, they naturally had to seize the opportunity. Break his balls while he's down. Sword Dao, Skybreak. A wisp of cold light flashed through Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes. She raised the immortal sword in her hand and stepped into the void. In the blink of an eye, she appeared beside the devil egg, and then she stabbed with her sword. Boom! The sword light landed on the demonic egg. A loud explosion followed closely behind. At the same time, the Queen Mother of the West also used her entertainment path martial technique. The sound of her flute rang out, accompanied by a heavy sword attack. Boom! Bang! Two fatal damages landed on the demonic egg. Then, a cracking sound was heard. Cracks began to appear on the surface of the demonic egg, and torrential demonic aura began to flow out from the cracks. A furious roar followed closely behind. Ah! You human brat, you're too despicable. A thin cloud of black mist appeared, and the demonic fiend's aura weakened again. When he was in the devil egg, he could only hear Ning Tian shouting from afar. Hit his devil egg, break his pill. This was simply infuriating. Why are you still alive? Ning Tian frowned when he saw the demon fiend charging out again. Why was this guy like an unkillable cockroach, so resilient? You want me, demon fiend, to die? Are you qualified? A cold light flashed in Demon Fiend's eyes. Then, he circulated his demonic chi and a black flame ignited on his body. Torrential devil flames. With a furious roar, a pitch-black sea of fire appeared in the sky. The surrounding spiritual energy was completely burned away in an instant. Be careful. Seeing this scene, Luo Wuqing frowned slightly and said coldly to the Queen Mother of the West, who was beside her. Yes. The Queen Mother of the West nodded. Her eyes were solemn as well. As expected of a named true devil, he was far more difficult to deal with than they had imagined. However, he could not let him go today. The two women were on guard as they circulated their great emperor aura. Hee. Demon Fiend laughed sinisterly. Then, his body disappeared into the sea of fire. Trying to escape? Seeing this, the two women's faces turned cold. They raised their hands and the great emperor aura shook the pitch-black sea of fire in the sky. Ugh, a scream was heard. However, the scream seemed to come from all directions, as if the entire sea of fire was filled with demon fiend. Something's not right. A cold light flashed in Luo Wuqing's eyes. His target is my husband. Almost at the same time, the two women's faces changed. Without hesitation, they stepped into the void and charged toward Ning Tian. Demon Fiend did not run away. Instead, he used the devil flames to transform his body into a black mist and hid in the devil flames. In this way, he could change his position as he wished. His target was Ning Tian. It's too late. I want him dead today. At this moment, a black flame ignited in front of Ning Tian. A cloud of devil chi was hidden in it, and Demon Fiend's sinister laughter could be heard. At the same time, a ball of black flames with demonic chi charged towards Ning Tian. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, it appeared in front of Ning Tian. Damn it! Divine lightning descend. Ning Tian cursed. Divine lightning appeared in his hand, and the heavenly god's force was activated. However, Damonfian's black flame was fearless as it ignored the divine lightning descend. Husband. Seeing this, Luo Wuqing's face turned cold. Her great emperor aura spread out, and she stepped into the void. Although her speed was ghostly, it was not enough. She was still a little short. At this critical moment, a flute sound was heard. It reverberated through the entire sky. Music Dao, heavenly music transposition. The Queen Mother of the West murmured with a grave expression. She instantly appeared before Ning Tian. Boom. The moment she appeared in front of Ning Tian, the great emperor's might in her hand slammed down. Boom. In an instant, the great emperor's might dispersed a cloud of black flame. However, a cloud of black flame still landed on Queen Mother of the West's delicate body. Her delicate body trembled. Vaguely, a cloud of black flame adhered to her body and slowly disappeared. Saint Lord. This happened too suddenly. When the Jade Lake elders and disciples on the ground reacted, their faces changed and their eyes were filled with worry. Queen Mother of the West. Seeing Queen Mother of the West being hit by the strange black flame, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with anger. I'm fine. Queen Mother of the West shook her head and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. You're fine? Ha 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 ha. Demon Fiend turned into a cloud of black mist and laughed maniacally. After being hit by my black demonic flame, you still think you're fine. Hee hee. It won't be long before the black flame hidden in your body devours every inch of your body. In the end, you'll be burned into ashes by the black flame. What? Black demonic flame? Ning Tian frowned instantly. Hand over the antidote. Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes flashed coldly. The great emperor's might revolved around her body, causing the entire space to tremble again and again. After being hit by the black demonic flame, there's no antidote. Where is the antidote? Ha ha ha. Demon Fiend laughed maniacally. You're courting death. Luo Wuqing's eyes flashed coldly. Her delicate body trembled, and thousands of swords appeared behind her and slashed at Demon Fiend. The sword radiance flashed and turned into tens of thousands of sword rays. Boom. They landed on Damonfian's cloud of black mist and instantly turned into nothingness. Is he dead? Everyone's heart sank. Haha. In the nothingness, the demonic aura appeared again. Demon Fiend laughed maniacally. I'm Demon Fiend, the true demon. You can't kill me with just your strength. If he could be killed, the Jade Lake's great emperor would have done so hundreds of thousands of years ago. Hearing this, everyone's face turned ghastly pale. This guy, looking at Queen Mother of the West's delicate body trembling slightly as if she was enduring pain, Ning Tian's anger ignited in his chest. At this moment, something in his storage ring vibrated. Chapter 270. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions came from the storage ring. This is... Ning Tian was stunned. He frowned as he tried to sense it. This is the Buddha Demon Pagoda? Buzz, buzz. At that moment, a buzzing sound rang in Ning Tian's mind. It seemed to be conveying something. You mean, you can help me suppress Emosha? Ning Tian frowned as he heard the voice in his mind. Buzz. Soon, the Buddha Demon Pagoda sent an affirmative signal. Ning Tian fell silent. He looked at the Queen Mother of the West's trembling body and heard Emosha's sinister laughter. He was furious. F***CK. I'll suppress Emosha first. Ha ha ha. Come and suppress me. Emosha's arrogant voice rang again. Luo Wuqing's eyes turned cold. Just as she was about to cut Emosha a few hundred times, Ning Tian appeared beside Luo Wuqing and said softly, Honey, take care of the Queen Mother of the West. His tone changed and his eyes were filled with coldness. As for this guy, leave him to me. I have a way to suppress or even kill him. Luo Wuqing nodded and looked deeply at Ning Tian. She said softly, Be careful. After that, she turned around and floated toward the Queen Mother of the West. She knew what kind of person Ning Tian was. Since he said he could do it, there would be no problem. Boy, you want to suppress me? Ha ha. With that mouth of yours that can infuriate people to death? Emosha sneered when he saw Ning Tian walking toward him. His words were full of mockery. Is that so? A mocking smile appeared on Ning Tian's face as the storage ring in her hand flashed with a faint light. Then, what about this? In an instant, a small pagoda appeared in Ning Tian's hand. The small pagoda rotated slowly and emitted endless demonic qi. The moment he sensed the devil qi, the devil fiend, as the true devil of the devil clan, actually felt fear. This is the Buddha demon pagoda. Devil fiend was shocked in his heart. He never would have thought that the stupid devil pagoda was actually in the hands of this human brat before his eyes. Ha ha ha. The heavens have not forsaken me, the devil fiend. If I obtain the Buddha demon pagoda, who in the small spirit realm would be able to stop me? A greedy look flashed across the devil fiend's eyes. He turned into a black gas and charged at Ning Tian. Boom. Patriarch, be careful. The Jade Lake's disciples below all exclaimed in surprise. Oomph. However, there was no fear in Ning Tian's eyes. When he saw the demonic fiends rushing over, he coldly snorted. Courting death. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Tian's palm suddenly shook. The Buddha demon pagoda exploded with a beam of black light. After that, countless strands of devil qi surged into his body from the Buddha's devil pagoda. His eyes instantly turned crimson red, and monstrous devil qi erupted from his body. The devil fiend, who was charging over, suddenly stopped. He was stunned when he felt the devil qi. At this moment, he even felt that he was not the devil, but Ning Tian was the devil. How could a human possess such powerful devil qi? Could it be the Buddha's devil pagoda? This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The devil fiend muttered to himself in disbelief. There was only one possibility for this human brat to possess such powerful devil qi. That was because the Buddha's devil pagoda had lent its own devil qi to him. However, how could the Buddha's devil pagoda acknowledge a human? This was absolutely impossible. Buddha's devil pagoda suppressed the demon. At this moment, Ning Tian raised his hand slightly. A strand of devil qi enveloped the Buddha's devil pagoda. Then, the Buddha's devil pagoda floated in the air. In the blink of an eye, it expanded to 100 meters in size and suddenly suppressed the devil fiend. Boom, boom. The 100-meter tall black pagoda brought with it endless pressure and suppressed the devil fiend heavily. No. How is this possible? The devil fiend wanted to turn into black fog and dissipate. However, the Buddha's devil pagoda emitted a powerful pressure and instantly imprisoned him on the spot. The power of the devil pagoda? The devil fiend let out a blood-curdling scream. Then, the Buddha's devil pagoda enveloped him and landed heavily on the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The devil pagoda landed, and the ground cracked. The entire Jade Lake sacred ground shook. Many elders and disciples looked at each other in dismay as they looked at the huge black pagoda that stood above the Jade Lake. So powerful. Is this also the ancestral master's technique? Gulp. The group of Jade Lake disciples swallowed their saliva. The pressure from the huge black pagoda was too strong. They were sweating profusely, but they could not take a step forward. In the sky, the black flames finally dissipated. Phew! Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. With a wave of his hand, the Buddha's devil pagoda that fell to the ground changed again. It turned back into the small pagoda from before and returned to his palm. As for the devil fiend, he had already suppressed him in the Buddha's devil pagoda. Then, his red eyes returned to normal. The demonic aura in his body also slowly dissipated as he entered the Buddha's devil pagoda. At the same time, the system's voice sounded at this moment. You shocked the devil fiend. You shocked the elders of the Jade Lake. You shocked the disciples of the Jade Lake. Reward, detoxification comprehension method. Detoxification comprehension method? Hearing the system's voice, Ning Tian's eyes flashed. The system was really timely. Wife, how is the Queen Mother of the West? Ning Tian put the Buddha's devil pagoda back into his storage ring and flew toward Luo Wuqing. The situation is not optimistic. Luo Wuqing shook her head. At this moment, the Queen Mother of the West was lying in her arms and was enveloped by her gentle spiritual energy. However, It was not difficult to see that her delicate body was trembling slightly. Faint traces of black flames could be seen on her delicate body. First, take her to the room and stabilize her. I will take care of the rest of the Jade Lake. Ning Tian frowned slightly and said softly to Luo Wuqing. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly and gently hugged the Queen Mother of the West. Her body moved and landed in the direction of the Jade Lake Palace. Then, Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief and looked at the entire Jade Lake. The originally peaceful Jade Lake was now a mess. Many palaces had collapsed, and the water of the Jade Lake was dyed red with blood. Although the final victory belonged to them, the Jade Lake had also paid a heavy price. Sigh. The Supreme Elder of the Jade Lake sighed, and her eyes were full of sorrow. The Jade Lake has suffered heavy losses. If it were not for the founder, I am afraid the consequences would be unimaginable. Behind her, a group of disciples' eyes were red and full of sorrow. It will be all right. Ning Tian did not know how to comfort them. He could only say this. Then, he directed the Jade Lake disciples to deal with the trivial matters after the battle. Half an hour later, when all the disciples and elders began to busy themselves with trivial matters, Ning Tian let out a sigh of relief and looked in the direction of the Jade Lake Palace. With worry, he moved slightly toward the Jade Lake Palace. Chapter 271. Jade Lake Palace, in an antique room. The Queen Mother of the West was lying on the bed, sweating profusely. Her beautiful face was pale, and her brows were tightly knitted. Apparently, she was in great pain. Her whole body was shrouded in cool spiritual energy. Beside her, Luo Wuqing sat by the bed, a rare look of worry in her eyes. At this moment, a sound came from the room. Ning Tian stepped out of the void and walked into the room. Looking at the two women beside the bed, he asked, "Wife, how is the Queen Mother of the West?" "Her situation is not optimistic." Luo Wuqing shook her head and gently touched the Queen Mother of the West's forehead with her jade-like hand. "I'm afraid her body is burning until it turns into ashes, just like what the demonic fiend said. Even a 9 tribulations great emperor can't resist this aura." Hearing Luo Wuqing's words, Ning Tian frowned and asked, "If she wasn't distracted, she could resist it, but—" Luo Wuqing stopped halfway. Hearing this, Ning Tian fell into silence. He knew that the Queen Mother of the West was distracted in order to save him, so she couldn't block the demonic fiend's attack. "I see." Ning Tian nodded and then said in his heart, "System, comprehend the detoxification method." Comprehending the detoxification method, the system's voice sounded in his mind. After a few minutes, detoxification method has been successfully comprehended. Soon, the steps of the detoxification method appeared in his mind. It turns out that there are 2 steps to detoxify the black demon flame: the external detoxification method and the internal consumption method. Ning Tian murmured, frowning, "Wife, I have the detoxification method." After murmuring, Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing. "I need 3 kinds of spiritual herbs: frost grass, ice mist flower, and ice broadvine to refine a kind of elixir." 3 kinds of extremely cold herbs were enough to suppress the demonic fiend flame in the Queen Mother of the West's body. "Okay, I'll remember it. I'll find it for you." Hearing this, Luo Wuqing gently nodded. She memorized the 3 medicinal ingredients and slowly stood up. "Wait for me to come back." After she finished speaking, she took a step into the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Only Ning Tian and Shi Wangmu remained in the room. As Ning Tian looked at Shi Wangmu lying on the bed with black blood leaking out of her mouth, he sighed. Then, he reached out and gently wiped away the black blood. Since ancient times, it was hard to bear the kindness of a beautiful woman. Now, the Queen Mother of the West had done so much for him. It was already not easy. At the very least, her kindness was sincere. Ning Tian slowly wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead. Then, he slowly got up, took out an alchemy furnace from his room, and placed it in the middle of the room. He was going to wait for Luo Wuqing to bring the 3 kinds of medicinal herbs before refining the antidote. 10 minutes later, in the room, the void opened. Luo Wuqing took a step forward and stopped in front of Ning Tian. "Husband, "I've found the 3 types of spiritual herbs," she said without wasting any time. These 3 kinds of spirit herbs were not very rare. She did not even need to return to the Tim occult. The entire Jade Lake sacred ground had these 3 kinds of spirit herbs. She only needed to go to the Jade Lake's spirit herb field to pick them. Okay. Ning Tian nodded and took the spirit herbs that she handed over. Next, he used his alchemy skills and used his spirit chi to ignite the alchemy fire in the alchemy furnace. Although his alchemy skills were not strong, the requirements for refining the antidote were not high. With his current strength, it was completely enough to deal with it. Just as Ning Tian was about to start refining the antidote, Luo Wuqing suddenly said to him, "You treat her first. I'll deal with the demonic aura scattered all over the Jade Lake sacred ground." After saying that, she did not give Ning Tian a chance to speak. She stepped into the void and disappeared from the room. Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. After a long silence, he sighed faintly and continued what he was doing. In the alchemy furnace, the alchemy fire burned brightly, emitting waves of residual heat. Ning Tian did not hesitate anymore. He used his alchemy skills and began to refine the antidote. Whoosh! The alchemy fire burned. The 3 kinds of spirit herbs were thrown into the furnace and began to transform into waves of medicinal power. A few minutes later, the antidote began to take shape. Soon, the entire room was filled with a medicinal fragrance. The alchemy fire dissipated. Ning Tian waved his hand and put the alchemy furnace into his storage ring. In his hand, there was a white pill. The pill was cold and emitted waves of medicinal fragrance. This was the antidote. Immediately, he walked to the bed and looked at the Queen Mother of the West. At this moment, her expression was even more unsightly. The poison had begun to take effect in her body. Seeing this, Ning Tian did not hesitate anymore. He gently sat by the bed, held the antidote in one hand, and gently opened her red lips with the other hand. He placed the cold pill into her alluring cherry mouth. After the pill entered her body, Ning Tian could finally breathe a sigh of relief. However, he did not relax completely, because this was only the first step of the antidote. The second step was the external antidote. A few minutes later, a white mist flowed out, and traces of coldness covered the Queen Mother of the West's delicate body. Her originally pale face also had some redness. The antidote had taken effect. Phew, it really worked. Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. His gaze fell on the Queen Mother of the West again. When he was about to proceed to the second step, he was stunned on the spot. This was because the second step of the external antidote required the use of spirit energy to remove the demonic flame attached to the body. Naturally, the undergarments had to be removed. So, you know what I mean. If Luo Wuqing was here, he could totally ask her for help. However, she had already left just now, and with the current situation, he could not afford to drag it on any longer. Otherwise, the antidote just now had finally forced the poison out of his body. If he dragged it on, wouldn't it be a waste? Just when he was feeling a little conflicted, the system's voice sounded. "Host, you should think of it this way. The concubine has taken advantage of you several times. What you are doing is not taking advantage of her. What you are doing is taking back what belongs to you. Moreover, you are saving her." Ning Tian was stunned for a moment and scratched his head. "Although I feel that you are talking nonsense, I feel that it makes sense." After saying that, Ning Tian knew that he could not drag it on any longer. He took a deep breath and activated the antidote, filling the spirit energy in his body with the antidote. He looked at the Queen Mother of the West and murmured, "Queen Mother of the West, I have offended you." Then, he stretched out his hand. Soon, the sound of clothes tearing could be heard in the room. The main reason was that the purple chiffon dress was really difficult to remove. The Queen Mother of the West was so rich that she should not care about this dress. And Ning Tian, who was anxious to save her, simply used the simplest and most violent method. A few seconds later, Ning Tian took a deep breath and looked over. Chapter 272. At this moment, the Queen Mother of the West was like a jade beauty lying quietly on the bed. Ning Tian looked over and was absent-minded for a moment. His mind was slightly disturbed, But he quickly took a deep breath and forced the distracting thoughts to the back of his mind. Although the Queen Mother of the West was naked now, he could not let his mind wander. Once he messed up, the spiritual energy in his hand would not be so stable. Phew! Ning Tian breathed a sigh of relief. Even a saint could not resist the temptation of such a scene. After a slight adjustment, he activated the detoxification method. The spiritual energy in his hand carried a faint trace of cold light. He looked at the Queen Mother of the West. Her skin was slightly red. However, it was not a normal red, but a fiery red left behind by the scorching heat. The demonic flame had begun to burn every inch of her skin. Without the detoxification method, she could only be nibbled away by the demonic flame bit by bit. The means of the demon clan are indeed vicious. Seeing this, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a hint of seriousness. Even a Nine Tribulations great emperor could not resist the demonic flame poison. If he was the one who was hit, the consequences would be unimaginable. Wu, at this time, the Queen Mother of the West frowned. Her body trembled slightly, and her fair skin rippled. At this moment, she seemed to be in great pain. I can't delay any longer. Ning Tian took a deep breath and circulated all the spiritual energy in his palm. Then, he pressed it on the Queen Mother of the West's fair and tender wrist. The demonic flame here was very serious, and her skin was completely red. It's so hot. When Ning Tian touched that inch of skin, his face suddenly changed, and he frowned. At this moment, the Queen Mother of the West was like a furnace, emitting waves of scorching heat. Even after taking the detoxification elixir just now, the cold energy of the elixir was not enough to suppress this kind of scorching heat. It was enough to show how terrifying the demonic flame poison was. Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. His palm was imbued with spiritual energy, and he gently rubbed her wrist twice. Soon, his spiritual energy emitted a cold sensation, and he saw that the Queen Mother's fiery red skin had returned to normal. If one were to take a closer look, one would discover that other than her wrists, there were tiny devil flames burning all over her body. Sure enough, it works. Seeing this, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a glint. Then, he looked at the Queen Mother of the West and circulated the spiritual qi in his hand. Since it was effective, the next step was to completely remove the demonic flame from her body. He circulated his spiritual energy and streaked it across every part of his skin. The cold light released by the spirit qi slowly extinguished the black flames, and her originally scorching hot body gradually returned to normal. An hour later, at this moment, the Queen Mother was lying quietly on her bed. Her furrowed brows had already relaxed. The originally scorching temperature on her delicate body had finally dropped. She had completely returned to normal, and her breathing had also stabilized. Phew! Ning Tian heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Sweat trickled down his forehead, and his breathing became somewhat rapid. There was nothing he could do about it. After all, in the face of such a situation, he had to endure it while concentrating on circulating his spirit energy to detoxify the poison. This was really a kind of torture. However, the demonic flame poison has been completely removed, and her life is no longer in danger. As long as the demonic flame poison could be removed from the Queen Mother of the West's body, even if he had to endure it, so what? Ning Tian stabilized his breathing and took another look at the almost perfect Queen Mother of the West. He slowly pulled up the blanket at the side and carefully covered her naked body. This consumption is really huge. Everything was finally over. Feeling the emptiness in his body, Ning Tian could not help but smile bitterly. In just a short hour, he had used up the spiritual qi of 2 spiritual seas. However, at least he had pulled the Queen Mother of the West back from the gates of death. This was not a loss. He stretched his body and sat on the edge of the bed, quietly observing the Queen Mother of the West. After discovering that there were no major problems, he got ready to leave and give the Queen Mother of the West a quiet environment to recuperate. However, at this moment, he discovered something strange. Ning Tian's gaze fell on the Queen Mother of the West's flawless face. There was a hint of redness there. Could it be that the demonic flame poison was not completely removed? Ning Tian could not help but frown. He clearly remembered that he had removed every trace of the demonic flame poison from every part of the Queen Mother of the West's body. How could he have missed something? Then, with doubts in his heart, he stretched out his hand and gently touched her delicate face. There was a trace of heat. However, this was clearly not the heat of the demonic flame poison. Strange, Ning Tian muttered. However, this was probably just a normal blush, and he did not take it to heart. After looking at her for more than 10 minutes, the blush on her face did not fade. However, the Queen Mother of the West condition was getting better. He did not want to disturb her any further and got ready to leave. However, just as Ning Tian got up, he suddenly felt a small hand grabbing his clothes. Silly ancestral master. At the same time, a faint voice sounded. Ning Tian was stunned and subconsciously turned his head. He saw that the Queen Mother of the West had opened her eyes and was looking at him quietly. You're awake? There was a hint of excitement in Ning Tian's voice. The Queen Mother of the West blushed and lowered her head. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz. You. Seeing the Queen Mother of the West's appearance, Ning Tian was stunned. Suddenly, he realized that the redness on her face was completely due to shyness. You couldn't have been awake for a long time, right? The Queen Mother of the West nodded. Huh? When did you wake up? Ning Tian scratched his head, feeling a little embarrassed. What do you think? She raised her head, and Ning Tian could finally see her current appearance. Her face was extremely red, as if it was going to bleed. Her beautiful eyes were even a little misty. Ning Tian could finally see her current appearance. Her beautiful face was extremely red, as if it was going to bleed. Although she had been suffering from the pain caused by the black demon flame and her consciousness was a little blurry, she had not completely fainted. Moreover, Ning Tian was helping her to get rid of the black demon flame. She gradually regained her consciousness. She also understood that she had been looked at and even touched. Cough, cough. Ning Tian coughed dryly and then looked at the Queen Mother of the West seriously. Well, thank you very much. The Queen Mother of the West lowered her head and remained silent. She did not say a word. In the room, the two of them maintained their silence. The atmosphere could not help but be a little awkward. After a while, Ning Tian said, Well, I'll go out first. You should treat your injuries first. Be quiet, and your injuries will heal faster. After saying that, he stood up again. However, the Queen Mother of the West grabbed his hand again. Her cold little hands touched his palm. Ancestral Master. Wait. Chapter 273. Wait a minute. Shi Wangmu seemed to be afraid that Ning Tian would leave. She quickly reached out and grabbed Ning Tian's rough hand. Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. He turned around instinctively. The moment he turned his head, his old face turned red. Your blanket fell off. It turned out that Shi Wangmu's action was too big, causing the blanket to slip off her body. Shi Wangmu was stunned for a moment. However, she did not pay much attention to it. She only gritted her teeth and bit her red lips as if she had mustered up her courage to make a decision. After a while, she suddenly leaned over. A fragrance assailed his nose. She exhaled and said, Ancestral Master, do you like me? Huh. As soon as he said that, Ning Tian exploded on the spot and froze on the spot. Like? He did not know what to do. His mind was in a mess. Shi Wangmu looked at Ning Tian resentfully. Then, she took a deep breath and mustered up her courage. She stood up and kissed Ning Tian's lips under his shocked gaze. Ning Tian's eyes widened. He could feel something on his lips. Damn it. Shi Wangmu forcefully kissed him again. How could this be? How could his ancestral master not care about her reputation? Just as he was about to fight back, Shi Wangmu suddenly let go of him. This stunned Ning Tian, who had just ignited his fighting spirit. Was the Queen Mother of the West toying with him? At this moment, Shi Wangmu leaned close to Ning Tian's ear and whispered something. In an instant, Ning Tian felt that something was wrong. Keep her? Ning Tian's mind went blank when he heard that. When Xiao Chun saw Shi Wangmu's blushing face and misty eyes, his entire body trembled. She was already like this. She was still hesitating. She was not a man at all. At this moment, a red light flashed in his eyes. He let out a low roar and pressed the Queen Mother under him. In the room, the candlelight was brightly lit, and music could be faintly heard. After an unknown period of time, seeing Shi Wangmu fall asleep with a tired expression, Ning Tian sat at the side, stunned for a long time. Then, he carefully covered her with a blanket. He got up and walked towards the door. Creak. The door was slowly pushed open, and Ning Tian closed the door. When he turned around, he froze on the spot. A beautiful figure appeared before his eyes. Wife. Ning Tian froze on the spot. At this moment, a trace of panic appeared in his eyes. He was at a loss. Originally, he thought that he would be able to display his masculinity and confidently tell Luo Wuqing that he already had a second wife. However, it was only when one was faced with such a situation that they realized that panic and helplessness were the most realistic reactions. He raised his head and looked at Luo Wuqing, expecting to see an extremely disappointed face. However, seeing Ning Tian acting like a child who had done something wrong, Luo Wuqing felt helpless and distressed. She sighed faintly and walked towards Ning Tian. She pressed his head against her chest as if she was stroking a child. She stroked his hair and said softly, "Husband, don't think too much." In the Tianqian world, polygamy is not a strange thing. Hearing this, Ning Tian could not help but be stunned for a moment. His heart trembled slightly. "So, husband." Luo Wuqing's voice was filled with tenderness at this moment. "I won't say anything about you. However, if you dare to attract more sisters for me, I won't forgive you." The Empress had her own pride. Naturally, she did not want to share Ning Tian with other women. However, she was also a woman who knew how to sacrifice. Perhaps she had already understood something. Hearing Luo Wuqing's words, Ning Tian fell into a long silence. His heart was filled with emotions. With such a daughter, what more could a man ask for? He lifted his face from Luo Wuqing's chest and took the initiative to hold her slender waist. He just looked at her quietly. The two of them looked at each other. "Wife." Ning Tian did not know what to say. He could only lower his head and stabilize her bright red lips. All the touching words were not as deep as this kiss. "Woo woo." Luo Wuqing's beautiful face was quickly smeared with a touch of red. Her delicate body struggled slightly. However, she quickly gave up and sank into it. After a long time, huff, the two of them were panting heavily. Their eyes were like torches as they looked at each other. Ning Tian gently hugged the woman in his arms tightly and whispered in her ear, "Don't worry, wife, there won't be any more." "Okay." Hearing this, Luo Wuqing nodded slightly and replied softly, "Now, let's wait for the Queen Mother of the West to wake up." A few hours later, inside the Jade Lake Palace, in the empty hall, the three figures seemed a little embarrassed. The two women sat on each side. The two women did not speak and just sat quietly. This made Ning Tian, who was sitting in the hall, embarrassed. Cough. "Well, you two should say something." Ning Tian coughed dryly. "Oh." "Speak." "Oh." The two women said in unison. "Hey, I didn't expect you two to have a tacit understanding." Seeing this, Ning Tian quickly found a topic. If it went on like this, it would be too embarrassing. "Oh." The two women responded with an "oh," both of them looking absent-minded. "How about this? I'll sing a song for you." Ning Tian scratched his head and said directly, "It must be a special fate that made us a family all the way." "Stop. Don't talk to your own people." Hearing this, the two women hurriedly stopped him. "Hee wife, what do you think of this song? Does it suit the occasion?" Ning Tian smiled and looked at Luo Wuqing. Luo Wuqing chose to remain silent and did not say anything. "Suit the occasion, my ass." At the side, the Queen Mother of the West curled her lips. "Shut up, I'm talking to my first wife now. As a second wife, you're not allowed to interrupt." Ning Tian pretended to be fierce and glared at the Queen Mother of the West. "I?" The Queen Mother of the West stopped abruptly. Then, a sly look flashed in her beautiful eyes. Looking at Luo Wuqing, she chuckled and said, "Sister, my husband is disobedient." Do you think we should? Well, if he's disobedient, we'll cut him off. Luo Wuqing nodded thoughtfully. Hearing this, Ning Tian was shocked. She was going to kill her husband. Wait, no. What did the Queen Mother of the West call Luo Wuqing just now? Sister? Good heavens. These two women had clarified their positions so quickly? No? When did they? Ning Tian's expression changed slightly. Looking at the two women, he asked, when did you agree? Hee, of course, just now through Emperor's will. The Queen Mother of the West chuckled. Huh. At this moment, Ning Tian suddenly realized something. These two women were not silent just now. They were secretly talking through Emperor's will and deliberately hiding it from him. Could it be? Hiss. Suddenly, Ning Tian felt two unfriendly gazes fall on him. Chapter 274. What do you want? Ning Tian instantly became cautious when he felt the two women's gazes on him. His intuition told him that there must be a trap. The Queen Mother of the West chuckled. Her beautiful eyes were full of cunning. She looked at Ning Tian and said, Founder, what do you think? Ning Tian was silent for a while. Beside him, Luo Wuqing's expression was indifferent as he said indifferently, because you are very dishonest, we have decided to join hands to deal with you and keep you in check. Hearing this, Ning Tian's face turned bitter. How heartless. Hee, my wife, you don't have to control me like this. I'm a decent man. Ning Tian chuckled, walked over, and put his arm around her shoulders. Hearing this, the two women rolled their eyes. There's more. At this time, Luo Wuqing spoke again. She glanced at Ning Tian and said, because you are always thinking about doing bad things, the Queen Mother of the West and I have decided to join forces to fight against you. So, you'd better put aside the bad things in your mind. Yes. The Queen Mother of the West also chuckled. Her beautiful eyes kept wandering around Ning Tian's body. Hearing this, Ning Tian was stunned. That's not right. This doesn't conform to the script. Logically speaking, shouldn't it be that one person today and another tomorrow? But why did it become the two women joining forces with him? Me? Ning Tian was confused. However, when he saw the Queen Mother of the West winking at him, he suddenly felt relieved. Even if he couldn't eat the meat of his first wife, at the very least, the meat of his second wife should be in the bag. But at this time, Luo Wuqing sneered. Don't even think about it. The Jade Lake sacred ground has suffered a great loss this time. The Queen Mother of the West and the elders have decided to close the Jade Lake. They will only open it again after they have recovered. During the closed period, no one is allowed to enter or leave. So, you can give up on that idea. At the side, the Queen Mother of the West shrugged helplessly at Ning Tian. The Jade Lake sacred ground had indeed suffered heavy losses this time. All right. Upon hearing this, Ning Tian didn't say much. After all, the recovery of the Jade Lake sacred ground was more important. However, who exactly is the great emperor? Ning Tian furrowed his brows slightly. These guys seemed to have come prepared. They knew that there was a true demon sealed within the Jade Lake sacred ground. However, they did not expect that this true demon would be so strong that they would end up losing their lives. No idea. Luo Wuqing shook his head and said in a clear and cold voice, I will send someone to investigate this. If I find out who it is, I won't spare them. At that moment, the smile on the Queen Mother's face gradually disappeared, replaced by a cold glint. This time, the Jade Lake had suffered a great loss. Many elders and disciples had lost their lives. Many palaces, celestial ponds, and herb fields had been destroyed. This also allowed everyone to witness the power of the named True Demon. When are you going to seal the Jade Lake? Ning Tian looked at the Queen Mother and asked. Shi Huangmu thought for a while. Then, she opened her red lips and said, Maybe tomorrow. So soon? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. Yes, the sooner we seal the Jade Lake and activate the array, the faster the recovery will be. I don't want to waste time. The Queen Mother nodded seriously. Then, she looked at Ning Tian and sighed. I might not be able to see the ancestor for a long time. The hall fell into silence. Forget it. Let's not talk about such sad things. Ning Tian waved his hand and looked at the two girls. He said seriously, in this situation, why don't we have a muad to liven things up? The two girls were stunned. Wife, do you want a muad? Luo Wuqing's face darkened. She clenched her teeth and said, no. Then do you want a little wife? Hee hee. Yes. A bright light flashed in Shi Wangmu's beautiful eyes as she nodded heavily. At the side, Luo Wuqing frowned. Aha. Hearing this, the Queen Mother was slightly stunned. Then, she stuck out her tongue at Ning Tian and spread her hands. Ancestor, I don't want it either. It's your first wife who won't let me. Won't let me? Humph. It seems like I have to teach you all a lesson. No matter how big the world is, the husband is the biggest principle. Ning Tian snorted. Then, under Luo Wuqing's slightly absent-minded gaze, he hugged her slender waist, lowered his body, and kissed her red lips. See? After kissing her fiercely, Ning Tian let go of Luo Wuqing and smiled proudly. Little wife, this is to restore the husband's position. This guy, Luo Wuqing's beautiful face blushed slightly. She glared fiercely at the smug guy and then winked at the Queen Mother. Sisters of the same mind. They could resist this big bad guy. Husband, you are tired. Let us serve you. At this time, Luo Wuqing suddenly said, Ning Tian was stunned. Before he could resist, the two girls sat beside him and stuck close to him. Waves of fragrance wafted over. At this time, Ning Tian finally felt what it meant to hug left and right. Heavens! Is this a paradise on earth? But at this moment, the two women took Ning Tian by surprise. As if they had agreed beforehand, each of them grabbed Ning Tian's hand. What do you want? It's not right to kill your husband. Ning Tian swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said seriously, what are we doing? Luo Wuqing snorted coldly and then looked at the Queen Mother. Quick, use the method I taught you to teach this bad guy a lesson. That method works every time. Hee hee, okay, the Queen Mother nodded with a smile. That method? Ning Tian was stunned. He seemed to have thought of something and suddenly understood. There was a faint trace of anticipation in his heart. The punishment that his wife was talking about was probably that. Then, as expected, the two girls pressed his head into their arms and began to carry out the Luo clan's punishment. How cruel, he could not bear to look at it. In next to no time, Ning Tian's miserable cries resounded from within the hall. The next day, the Jade Lake's sacred ground was desolate. On top of a cliff, a gentle breeze blew past. Ning Tian stood on the cliff and closed his eyes to feel the changes in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. At this time, he heard a sound behind him. Then, he felt something soft on his back. A pair of jade-like hands gently hugged him from behind. You're here? Ning Tian slowly opened his eyes and said softly. Beside his ear, he could hear the fragrance of orchids. Are we going to activate the sealing formation later? Ning Tian asked. The Queen Mother of the West pressed her face against Ning Tian's back. She could feel the familiar aura on Ning Tian's back. That's right. Chapter 275. On the cliff. A cool breeze blew past, and the two of them hugged each other. After a long time, the two of them separated and looked at each other. Ancestral Master, you have to quickly improve your strength. Otherwise, how can you suppress your first wife? A hint of mockery flashed in the Queen Mother's eyes as she looked at Ning Tian and giggled. Hearing this, Ning Tian smiled and rubbed her head. Okay, go. Recuperate well, and wait for you to come back. Haha, Ancestral Master, are you waiting to sleep with me? The Queen Mother covered her mouth and laughed. Her laughter was like a silver bell that tugged at one's heartstrings. Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. His face turned red, and he coughed dryly. Ahem, what are you talking about? Hurry up and go. Hee. The Queen Mother leaned over and kissed Ning Tian lightly on the cheek. Then, she turned around and stepped into the void and disappeared. Feeling the lingering touch on his face, Ning Tian stood there silently for a while. Then, he shook his head and smiled. Then, he turned around and left. After this farewell, he didn't know when he would see her again. Jade Lake Mountain Range. Two figures floated in the void, silently looking at the Jade Lake sacred ground in the mountain range. Boom. Then, roar sounded in the entire Jade Lake sacred ground. A huge array emerged from the ground. With the appearance of the array, all the spiritual energy in the Jade Lake sacred ground was mobilized. Then, with a roar, a golden light appeared. A huge barrier enveloped the entire Jade Lake sacred ground. Soon, when the barrier appeared, the Jade Lake sacred ground slowly disappeared in front of the two of them. It was hidden in the mountains. Boom, boom. With the disappearance of the Jade Lake sacred ground, the mountain range moved quickly with a series of roars. There were only mountains where the Jade Lake sacred ground was originally. Let's go. In the sky, Ning Tian took one last look at the Jade Lake mountain range. After saying that, he turned around and left. Luo Wuqing followed silently. The two of them rushed in the direction of the Tianma cult. It had been a few days since they left the Tianma cult. It was time to go back. A few days had passed. When the news of the Jade Lake sacred ground activating the mountain ceiling grand array spread out, the entire heavenly spirit domain was in an uproar. The great mountain closing array was not something that would be casually used. Normally, it would only be used when the sect had suffered a great loss. At this time, the sect would activate the great mountain closing array to conceal itself and restore the sect. Now that the Jade Lake sacred ground had activated such an array, could it be? At this moment, all the forces in the heavenly spirit domain were secretly guessing what had happened at the Jade Lake. After all, they were one of the strongest Emperor realm factions in the celestial spirit domain. Even they had been forced to use the mountain sealing array. What exactly was hidden within all of this? While these powers were guessing, there were even more people who had noticed the most important thing. As a result, the Tianma cult, which had been at the peak of its power, instantly lost a powerful ally. Some old and cunning people were already guessing that something big would happen during the seclusion of the Jade Lake sacred ground. Would it shake the entire heavenly spirit region? All of a sudden, the major forces of the heavenly spirit realm began to move in secret. Central Prefecture, Righteous Alliance. Two figures appeared in a secret room, each with a different expression. Emperor Zhengtian's eyes flickered. There was a faint trace of joy in them. Currently, the most uncertain factor, the Jade Lake Holy Land, was no longer a threat. He was happy when he thought of this. However, at the side, the Void God Emperor's expression was extremely ugly. Although the Jade Lake sacred ground had been forced to activate the mountain sealing array, the Void God Heavenly Palace had lost a 9 Tribulation Great Emperor expert because of it. Brother Void God, you should think on the bright side. Emperor Righteous Heaven comforted him. What if Brother Shun Su suddenly felt hungry after releasing the true demon and want to eat? Maybe he'll come back after a while. Come back? How could he come back? The Void God Emperor was extremely angry at this moment. Even his light blue phantom was somewhat unstable. I said it. Shun Su is already dead. His cup of life in the Void God Heavenly Palace has already shattered. He can't be alive. Emperor Void God clenched his teeth and shook his head. He had never thought that releasing a true demon would cost Shun Su's life. Brother Void God, Emperor Righteous Heaven opened his mouth, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Emperor Void God. Emperor Void God's face was filled with grief and indignation. Do you know how I spent the past 5,000 years? If Shinsu hadn't helped me for the past 5,000 years, how could I be who I am today? I'll definitely take revenge for this. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and the temperature in the secret room seemed to drop at this moment. Emperor Righteous Heaven fell silent, then looked up at Void God. Who will you take revenge on? Heh, the Tianma cult, of course. Emperor Void God sneered. The Tianma cult. Emperor Righteous Heaven froze for a moment, then suddenly thought of something. His eyes lit up. You're coming out of seclusion? Yes. Emperor Void God nodded. There's still 1 more month. When I come out of seclusion, the Tianma cult will be destroyed. Yes. Emperor Righteous Heaven's eyes shone with excitement. Almost half a year. Finally, he could King destroy the Tianma cult. Prepare yourself for what's coming next. Emperor Void God said indifferently. Then his body turned into a blue shadow and slowly disappeared from the secret room. Phew. After Emperor Void God left, Emperor Righteous Heaven let out a sigh of relief. Then, his body moved slightly, and he stepped into the void, leaving behind a sentence that echoed in the secret room. Since Jade Lake is no longer a threat, then it's time to do something. Righteous Alliance, first place. A towering immortal mountain towered into the clouds, surrounded by 18 small mountains. A ray of light appeared. Emperor Righteous Heaven appeared from the void and landed on the highest cliff. Then, 17 rays of light appeared, and 17 figures sat on the surrounding cliffs. There was only one cliff, but it was empty. Is everyone here? Emperor Righteous Heaven's voice sounded from the peak of the mountain, bringing with it the might of an emperor. The other 17 people trembled slightly and nodded. However, their auras were not weak at all. The weakest of them was an emperor god, and they were the leaders of their respective forces in the Righteous Alliance. Alliance leader, except for Brother Jian, everyone is here. The last person who was supposed to be seated was Jian Ren. Sigh. It's a pity that Brother Jian was killed by the Empress of the Tianma cult. The Empress of the Tianma cult has gone too far. When Jian Ren was mentioned, the group of people sighed and were angry. No matter. Emperor Righteous Heaven waved his hand and said indifferently, soon, we'll get our revenge. Chapter 276. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Then, as if they had thought of something, their eyes lit up. Alliance leader, are we preparing to attack the Tianma cult? A middle-aged man in a green robe with a small beard couldn't help but ask.
Yes.
Emperor Zhengtian nodded calmly, a cold glint in his eyes. He said calmly, soon, we'll be attacking the Tianma cult soon. However, halfway through his sentence, his gaze fell on the leaders of the forces around him. During this period of time, you can order people to attack some of the forces under the Tianma cult. Consider it a prelude to the upcoming storm. As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes flashed with a cold glint, and his killing intent was dense. Hearing this, the 17 leaders of the forces under the Righteous Alliance all nodded their heads. Yes, Alliance leader, we understand. Perhaps, as Emperor Zhengtian had said, the prelude to the storm was coming. Several days passed in the blink of an eye. In the Tianma cult, in a secret cultivation room, Ning Tian sat cross-legged. In front of him, a small, pitch-black pagoda floated in the air. Waves of faint black gas were emitted from the small pagoda. After a long time, Ning Tian let out a breath of turbid air and slowly opened his eyes. He looked at the small, pitch-black pagoda and said, Buddha Demon Pagoda. The demonic fiend is only trapped in the pagoda and hasn't been killed. How can I kill it? The small pagoda floated in silence. Ning Tian frowned. Last time, he knew that there was a pagoda spirit in the Buddha Demon Pagoda that could communicate with people. The demonic fiend was trapped in the pagoda. This time, he wanted to get rid of this trouble once and for all. He wanted to completely kill the demonic fiend. However, the pagoda spirit didn't respond. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. Host, it's true that the Buddha Demon Pagoda has a pagoda spirit, but it has been without an owner for a long time. The pagoda spirit has become very weak. I don't know when it will appear again. The fact that the Buddha Demon Pagoda could produce an artifact spirit like the pagoda spirit meant that it was far beyond the immortal artifact level, or even higher. What if it recognizes you as its master? Ning Tian asked with a frown. The system said, if it recognizes you as its master, the tower spirit will rely on your power to become stronger again. How does it recognize its master? Ning Tian asked again. This time, the system did not say anything. All right. He couldn't rely on the system for everything. Ning Tian spread out his hands and looked towards the Buddha Demon Tower. With a slight movement of his consciousness, he appeared in the Buddha Demon Tower in the blink of an eye. First floor of the Buddha Demon Tower. Ning Tian turned into a streak of light and appeared here. He walked a few steps in the darkness, and a part of the space on the first floor was immediately lit up. Ning Tian's gaze landed on a cage. One of the clouds of black fog was drifting in the air, as if it had nothing to live for. Looks like you're doing pretty well in the Buddha's demon tower. At this moment, Ning Tian's voice rang out, and the ball of black fog immediately looked over. That crazy and ferocious voice sounded. It's you. Who exactly are you? Why would the Buddha demon tower recognize you? Emo Sha's hysterical voice rang out. Until now, he still couldn't understand why the Buddha demon tower, which was obviously the most precious treasure of the demon clan, would recognize a mere human brat. This didn't make sense. Who knows? Ning Tian spread out his hands and said indifferently, "After all, I am only the founder of the Tianma cult." Founder? Heh, what a great founder! Emo Sha sneered. How could a mere force in a small Tianling domain produce such a genius? I know why you're here, but unfortunately, even if you can use the Buddha demon tower to suppress me, you can't erase me because you're not qualified. Hearing this, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a cold light. Is that so? The corners of his mouth curled up into a sneer, and then the power of the heavenly god appeared in his hand. Raging thunder, 100 souls fear. Although the Mosha couldn't be killed, he appeared in the form of a demon clan soul. As long as he was a soul, he would be afraid of something. And that was the lightning tribulation. Boom! The raging thunder in Ning Tian's hand roared, and its power was shocking. This is lightning tribulation? No. Emo Sha's face suddenly changed, and his eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Ning Tian. You have the heavenly god constitution? It's been millions of years, and there's another descendant with the heavenly god constitution in the human race. Emo Sha muttered to himself. The black fog constantly changed, and it was enough to show the disbelief and fear in his heart. Ning Tian's brows furrowed. This fellow had actually seen through his constitution with a single glance? Could it be that when he used the power of the heavenly god, raging thunder, he inadvertently released a burst of heavenly god aura? He narrowed his eyes, and many thoughts came to his mind. With the previous lesson, he had to use the chaotic aura to hide his heavenly god aura when he used his techniques. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Emo Sha laughed bitterly. I finally understand why the Buddha demon tower acknowledged you. The heavenly god constitution. The heavenly god constitution? Haha. If the heavenly god constitution succeeds, those people in the demon race won't be able to sit still, right? What do you mean? Ning Tian frowned, and his gaze fell on Emo Sha. Nothing. Emo Sha shook his head. In the black fog, a red light flashed. He looked at Ning Tian indifferently. Chapter 277. The moment the voice rang out, the entire demonic tower was filled with demonic energy. Demonic chi filled the entire first floor. It was as if the entire floor could not remain calm. Ning Tian was slightly taken aback when he heard the voice from the first floor of the Buddha demon tower. He frowned and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a huge red eye emerging from the red boundary that they had seen previously. When he took a closer look, he was a little flustered. Are you the bloodthirsty demon that was sealed on the first floor? Ning Tian was not surprised at all as he looked in the direction of the voice. Before the Jade Lake Sacred Ground activated the Great Array, the Queen Mother of the West had already told Ning Tian everything about the Buddha demon tower. When Ning Tian first heard the words bloodthirsty demon, he was stunned for a long time. Therefore, when he heard the voice and saw the huge blood-red eye, he did not panic too much. As expected of someone with the heavenly god physique, you are not flustered at all. The voice rang out again from the red boundary. How do you want to cooperate? Ning Tian didn't waste any time. She looked at the blood-colored barrier with a calm expression and asked, "Let me eat him. Then, won't he die?" The bloodthirsty demon's voice was bewitching. Hee, what do you think? Eat? Beside him, Demon Fiend was so scared that his body trembled. Even the black fog on his body almost dissipated. Not good. Hearing this, Ning Tian almost rolled his eyes at him. Let you eat him? Isn't that providing you with energy? Do you think I'm stupid? Little friend, why don't you? Before the voice could finish, Ning Tian interrupted. Shut up. Back off. The bloodthirsty demon was stunned for a moment. Before his voice could be heard, the red light and the red boundary slowly dissipated. Phew! Demon Fiend heaved a sigh of relief. He had almost fallen into the demon's mouth. Ning Tian furrowed his brows slightly. This demonic fiend was left in the Buddha Demon Tower, and it wasn't stable. It didn't have the special sealing enchantment of the Buddha Demon Tower. If he let it escape, then his heavenly god physique might be exposed. However, how could he solve this problem? Beside him, Emo Sha's body trembled as he watched Ning Tian's gaze sweep across his body. Buzz. At that moment, Ning Tian finally sensed the response of the pagoda spirit from the Buddha Demon Pagoda. You're saying that you want to work with me too? Ning Tian muttered in his heart. Why did he have to work with him every day? Buzz. The tower spirit's affirmative voice sounded, followed by two buzzing sounds. Hearing this, Ning Tian fell silent. According to the tower spirit, he would provide the demonic fiend's energy to help it stabilize the artifact spirit's body. Then, the tower spirit would provide him with a portion of the demonic energy that had been suppressed for so long. It seemed like a win-win cooperation. At least, it was more reliable than working with the bloodthirsty demon. Helping the tower spirit stabilize the artifact spirit's body and strengthening the seal of the Buddha Demon Tower was beneficial no matter how he thought about it. All right, I promise you. Ning Tian thought for a moment and nodded. Buzz. As the tower spirit's voice fell, a wisp of energy appeared in Ning Tian's hand. It was the killing power of the Buddha Demon Tower. This kind of power could truly kill the demonic fiend trapped in the Buddha Demon Tower. Immediately, a ball of energy appeared in his hand, and he walked toward the demonic fiend trapped in the cage. What are you doing? The demonic fiend trembled, and his eyes were filled with fear. Of course, I'm going to kill you completely. Ning Tian's lips curled into a cold smile. He raised his hand slightly, and the Buddha Demon Tower turned into a suppressive force, emitting an aura that frightened the demonic fiend. This is the power of the Buddha Demon Tower. Forget it. The demonic fiend was still in disbelief, but when he thought about Ning Tian's physique, he understood. Come on, do it. The demonic fiend's voice became calm, as if he knew that he was going to die. He didn't even want to struggle. Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. This guy could see the reality clearly. He thought that he would say a bunch of nonsense to beg for mercy. Since that's the case, die. Sheena. The power of the Buddha Demon Tower in Ning Tian's hand turned into a blade. It cut through the cage and pierced through the demonic fiend's body. The balls of black mist were instantly sucked into the blade. In the blink of an eye, the blade dissipated, and the Buddha Demon Tower began to absorb the demonic fiend's soul energy. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian didn't stay. She turned around and the light dissipated, leaving the Buddha's Demon Pagoda. Half an hour later, Ning Tian had been waiting for the power that the tower spirit was going to give him. Is the tower spirit playing tricks on me? He frowned slightly. Buzz. At this moment, the tower spirit responded. Buzz? I'm ready. After understanding the tower spirit's meaning, Ning Tian nodded. He was looking forward to it. What kind of improvement would this power bring to him? Boom. The moment Ning Tian finished speaking, a huge amount of pure energy broke out of the Buddha Demon Tower and landed on Ning Tian's body. Boom. In an instant, a huge amount of energy condensed on his body. What a huge amount of energy. Feeling the huge amount of energy in his body, Ning Tian's eyes flashed. He quickly activated the celestial god record and directed all the energy to every part of his body. Boom. Boom. At the same time, all the spirit chi in the Tianma cult rushed toward the underground cultivation room. Countless disciples and elders who were cultivating instantly felt their bodies being hollowed out. The spirit chi in their bodies was robbed. Their spirit chi was like a small stream that converged into a river. Immediately after, the group of disciples and elders cursed and felt that their bodies were weak. After losing their spirit chi, they fell to the ground one by one with a dumbfounded look on their faces. What's going on? Where's our spirit chi? The group of elders and disciples froze on the spot, their eyes full of panic. Cough, cough. Don't panic when you encounter something. Think about that man first. At the side, the Supreme Elder laid on the ground elegantly and said calmly, "That man?" In an instant, all the disciples came to a realization. The elders also changed to a more comfortable position. Needless to say, this was caused by the patriarch again. In the underground cultivation room, the spirit chi here was almost materialized. It was extremely rich and huge. A beautiful silhouette flashed past. Luo Wuqing was also startled. She almost thought that Ning Tian was going to tear down the house again. Looking at the movements around her, she couldn't help but frown and ask calmly, "Husband, what are you doing?" "Hee, it's my wife." Ning Tian opened his eyes and smiled at Luo Wuqing. "Wife, I'm going to break through again." Chapter 278. Breakthrough? Upon hearing this, Luo Wuqing was stunned for a moment. Her red lips parted slightly, and a glimmer of light flashed through her beautiful eyes. She had to admit that her husband's cultivation speed was really shocking. In less than half a year, he had gone from being a first-level martial artist with no cultivation base to almost reaching the Empyrean realm. This kind of speed really made some cultivators who had cultivated for hundreds or even thousands of years feel ashamed. "Are you planning to break through to the heavenly venerable realm this time?" Luo Wuqing glanced at Ning Tian and asked.
Yes.
Ning Tian nodded, his eyes flashing. At this moment, his whole body was enveloped in a huge amount of spiritual energy. With the support of this spiritual energy, he wanted to try to break through to the next realm. After all, I can't always let my wife protect me, right? Luo Wuqing nodded gently, then fell into silence. Phew. Okay, wife, I'm going to prepare for the breakthrough. Ning Tian exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, then grinned at Luo Wuqing. Then, he took out the soul origin orb, which had been consumed by more than half during this period of time, and sat down cross-legged. He operated the celestial god record and began to cultivate to break through. Luo Wuqing crossed his arms in front of his chest, quietly leaning against the wall, silently guarding him. At this moment, the spiritual energy of the entire Tianma cult was flowing away. All the disciples and elders looked in the direction where the spiritual energy was converging. That was where Ning Tian was cultivating. Boom. Soon, dark clouds covered the sky, and strange phenomena appeared. Seeing the strange phenomena, the disciples and elders were already used to it, so they were not very shocked. It would be strange if there were no strange phenomena when the patriarch cultivated. In the secret room, Ning Tian's aura surged. The black clothes on his body fluttered, and the spiritual energy constantly rumbled in the surroundings. The soul origin orb in his hand was constantly turning into spiritual energy and rushing into his body. Soon, the soul origin orb was exhausted. The aura provided by the Buddha demonic pagoda was completely consumed by him. The current Ning Tian was strong enough to break through the 9 stars of the Saint Emperor realm and even reach the half-step Empyrean realm. However, if he only reached the half-step Empyrean realm, Ning Tian wasn't willing to give up. After all, he was only a little bit away from breaking through. If he gave up now, he would need another opportunity next time. But now, the spiritual energy in his body had been completely depleted. Host has successfully broken through. Current strength, 9 stars of the Saint Emperor stage. AI, if it's meant to be, it will be. If it's not meant to be, don't force it. Ning Tian sighed and was about to stand up. But suddenly, a pair of cool jade-like hands touched his back. Then, a burst of spirit chi with Emperor's might entered his body, but it was only a small amount and quickly dissipated. Ning Tian was stunned. A clear and cold voice sounded beside his ear. "What are you waiting for? Break through quickly." "Wife." A faint light flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. Luo Wuqing's wisp of spirit chi was like a timely rain, instantly causing his aura to shake violently. Boom. He no longer hesitated and activated the celestial god record, preparing to break through in one go. Half an hour later, with a boom, Ning Tian's aura exploded, and his aura rose to another level. "Congratulations, host, for breaking through." Current strength. 1-star Empyrean realm. Phew. Ning Tian exhaled heavily and suddenly opened his eyes. I've finally reached the Empyrean realm. Then, he slowly stood up with some excitement and pulled the lovely person beside him into his embrace. Under her somewhat stunned gaze, he suddenly lowered his head and kissed her fiercely on her bright red lips. Thank you, wife, Ning Tian said softly. Luo Wuqing nodded lightly. Then, as if she had thought of something, she gently broke free from his embrace and glanced at him. A verbal thank you is enough. You don't need to do anything. Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. He scratched his head and said innocently, Wife, what are you talking about? I'm a decent person. A decent person? Heh, just an old pervert, Luo Wuqing said lightly. Wife, where did you learn this word? Ning Tian scratched his head. When he heard the words old pervert, he couldn't help but be puzzled. The Queen Mother of the West taught me. Luo Wuqing's expression was indifferent as he said in all seriousness. She said that as long as you mention the words decent people, you can automatically change them to old perverts. Ning Tian was stunned and then pretended to be angry. This little wife is simply teaching nonsense. Next time when she comes out, wife, I'll drag you to fight with her. Family status must be clearly distinguished. Fight? Luo Wuqing was stunned for a moment and curled her lips. Are you willing to beat your little wife? Of course. Ning Tian nodded seriously. If you don't believe me, I can demonstrate it to you first. Come, wife, let's talk on the bed. Luo Wuqing was slightly stunned and suddenly realized what this guy meant by fight. Sure enough, as the Queen Mother of the West said, you're an old pervert. Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at Ning Tian. Her eyes were full of flirtatious feelings, which made Ning Tian's heart itch. However, Luo Wuqing gently pushed him away. Now, you have to do something. Do something? Do what? Ning Tian scratched his head. If you don't do anything, do you want to be a freeloader? Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at Ning Tian again. There are still some things waiting for you to do in the sect. Come with me. After saying that, Luo Wuqing turned around and walked out of the underground cultivation room with graceful steps. Seeing this, Ning Tian hurriedly followed. After Ning Tian broke through, the spirit energy of the entire Tianma cult returned again, and the heaven and earth phenomenon slowly disappeared. Phew, the ancestral master is finally done. The group of disciples and elders also breathed a sigh of relief, got up from the ground, and continued to cultivate. Ning Tian followed Luo Wuqing to the study room full of memories. He looked at Luo Wuqing indifferently and asked, Wife, why did you bring me here? Luo Wuqing took out a stack of paper and handed it to Ning Tian. Take a look at what's written on it first. Hearing this, Ning Tian took it and looked at it. However, as his gaze moved, he frowned. After putting down the paper, he said in a deep voice, Why are there so many small forces under the Tianma cult sending bad news? You should understand why that is. Luo Wuqing didn't say much. She looked at Ning Tian calmly. Could it be the Righteous Alliance? At this moment, Ning Tian's eyes narrowed slightly and 3 words appeared in his mind. Ever since they found out that the Tianma cult had a deep relationship with the Jade Lake Sacred Ground, the Righteous Alliance had quieted down a lot. However, now that the Jade Lake Sacred Ground's mountain sealing array had been activated, they couldn't hold back anymore. These flies from the Righteous Alliance. A murderous intent flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. Chapter 279. These self-proclaimed righteous flies, don't they have anything better to do? Do they think they are experienced babies? Ning Tian curled his lips and complained. Then, he unceremoniously sat on the desk and took a sip from Luo Wuqing's teacup. Luo Wuqing did not say anything. She just shook her head and said, They have a motive for doing this. Motive? Ning Tian was slightly taken aback. Luo Wuqing nodded and said calmly, The Righteous Alliance is doing this for the Heavenway qualification. Because as long as I'm in the Heavenly Spirit region, the Righteous Sky Emperor won't have the right to step onto the ancient road to godhood, Luo Wuqing said with a smile. His words were filled with confidence. Heaven Way qualification, ancient road to godhood. Ning Tian murmured and seemed to have understood something. He nodded and looked at Luo Wuqing. So, what do you want me to do? Since the Righteous Alliance likes to play these tricks, we will get rid of all their underlings. Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes flashed with a cold light. Husband, the south of Dongxing Nation is not very peaceful recently. It seems that the Imperial Beast sect is causing trouble. Do you want to go there? Imperial Beast sect? Those guys again? Ning Tian's eyes were filled with murderous intent when he heard the words Imperial Beast sect. He immediately thought of the tragic situation in Tianfeng City. Luo Wuqing nodded. Many of their elders are in the south of Dongxing Nation. However, they don't have any Emperor God experts. I plan to let you deal with the Imperial Beast sect in the south of Dongxing Nation. When they are unprepared, I will let the Supreme Elder destroy their nest. Creating a diversion? Ning Tian did not object. All right, leave the Imperial Beast sect in the south of Dongxing Nation to me. But husband, you better wear the ice silkworm mask. At this moment, Luo Wuqing's red lips parted slightly as he reminded her again. Why? Ning Tian frowned and asked. Because the Tiamat cult needs your identity as the emperor to intimidate the Righteous Alliance, Luo Wuqing said calmly. Hearing this, Ning Tian immediately understood. She looked at Luo Wuqing and said, I understand. But honey, can you change the ice silkworm's face? Make a more normal face? Well? Luo Wuqing muttered to himself for a moment before revealing a beautiful smile. You wish, all right. Hearing this, Ning Tian could only shrug. Handsome Ning was about to make a comeback. Honey, I'll go first. You can get the disciples of the Sky Demon cult to come and support us later. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded. Suddenly, she looked at Ning Tian and whispered, if you complete the mission well, you might be rewarded. With that, she saw Ning Tian's figure vanish in the blink of an eye. She only left behind a single sentence, which still echoed in the hall. I promised to complete the mission. This guy. Seeing this, Luo Wuqing smiled. When it came to the self-cultivation of a proper person, Ning Tian definitely had a say. After coming out of the demonic palace, Ning Tian took out the ice silkworm mask and put it on. She turned into handsome Ning again and flew towards the south of Dongxing country. It wasn't too far away, and she could reach it in a few hours. Ever since Dongxing was taken over by the heavenly demon cult, it was now on the right track. In fact, it was much stronger than when it was under the rule of the Lin royal family. The country was prosperous, and the people were at peace. It was a pity that the recent period of time had not been peaceful. Dongxing was constantly being harassed by the forces of the Righteous Alliance. It was truly infuriating. Southern Beast Forest, Shanghai City. In the city, many large beasts surrounded the area. An old man in linen clothes was being pulled back by a group of men and women. His eyes were filled with tears as he shouted, You can't tear it down. That is the statue of our ancestor. It is the faith of our Shanghai city. Can't tear it down? I want to tear it down. What can you do about it? A young man had a smug look on his face as he looked at the old man with a sneer. At the moment, many citizens and heavenly demon cult disciples in the city were surrounded by people from the beast trainer sect and demonic beasts. In front of them was a stone statue that was dozens of meters tall. Upon closer inspection, one could see the face of the stone statue. It was the legendary ancestor, Ning Tian. In the entire Dongxing nation, after the story of the legendary ancestor spread, such stone statues were built in the larger cities of the country. However, after the beast-controlling sect broke into Shanghai City, the first thing they did was to smash the statue of the legendary ancestor. Kneel down and beg me. Ha ha ha. The young man laughed out loud. Behind him, many of the beast-controlling sect disciples laughed as well. Ha ha ha. Kneel down, kneel down. Hearing the group of disciples jeering, the old man's eyes turned red. He ignored the advice of others and knelt down. I beg you, don't tear down the statue. Ha ha ha. This old man really knelt down. Why don't we let him lick senior brother Lin's shoes? Seeing this scene, the group of beast-controlling sect disciples laughed even louder. Old Tian, don't beg them. None of these beast-controlling sect people are good people. That's right, old Tian. At most, we'll fight them to the death. Around them, the Shanghai city cultivators and Tianma cult disciples pulled old Tian up and stared at the group of people in front of them angrily. Ha ha ha. Fight to the death? A trapped beast is still fighting. You don't know what's good for you. Senior brother Lin snorted. His eyes shone with a cold light. Black Rock Ape, smash this statue. Roar. At the side, among the group of monsters, a huge monster walked out. It looked like it was wearing black rock armor. Its eyes shone with a fierce light as it punched the statue. Boom. He threw out a heavy punch. That terrifying fist wind blew apart the head of the ancestral master stone statue with a single punch. Ancestor, your head exploded. Seeing the statue being smashed, the group of disciples gritted their teeth. These beast-controlling sect disciples were too despicable. Continue smashing it, Senior Brother Lin ordered. The cold light in his hand shone, and the surrounding monsters surrounded them. Then, the ground rumbled. Under the despairing gazes of the Shanghai city people, the statue was smashed into pieces. The people of Shanghai city gritted their teeth in anger. However, they were powerless when they witnessed this scene. Senior Brother Lin was a Saint King. Ha ha ha. I'll smash every statue I see in the future, Senior Brother Lin said arrogantly. Is that so? At this moment, a cold voice rang out in the sky. A figure appeared. Looking at the patriarch's stone statue that had been smashed to pieces, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with killing intent. See if I don't blow your head off. Chapter 280. A voice boomed in the sky. Everyone looked up at the sky. It was a black shadow that was descending. Boom. What a big black rat. Within Shanghai city, everyone raised their heads and exclaimed. That black shadow had already landed heavily on the ground. The black shadow's palm landed heavily on Senior Brother Lin's head. Boom. With a bang, Senior Brother Lin's head exploded like a watermelon. Seeing this, the disciples of the Imperial Beast sect were shocked. Senior Brother Lin. F***CK. Senior Brother Lin's head exploded. All of them exclaimed, panic flashing in their eyes. Senior Brother Lin, a Saint Emperor, had actually been crushed to death by a huge black rat that had fallen from the sky? Kid, who are you? At this moment, everyone looked at the black shadow and saw an extremely ugly face. Me? Ning Tian smiled and said calmly, my name is Ning Shuai, an inner disciple of the Tianma cult. Tianma cult? Isn't that our cult? Hearing Ning Tian's words, some of the Tianma cult disciples in Shanghai city began to discuss. That's strange, senior sister. Does our Tianma cult have such a powerful disciple? I don't think so. The senior sister was stunned. She had never heard of this before. Moreover, wouldn't this disciple affect the overall attractiveness of the Tianma cult? Senior brother, are you really a disciple of our Tianma cult? A female disciple of the Tianma cult in Shanghai city frowned and asked. Yes. Ning Tian smiled and nodded. I belong to the Tianma horde under the patriarch. Tianma horde? The female disciple frowned even more. But senior brother, I'm also a disciple of the Tianma horde under the patriarch, but I've never seen you before. When Ning Tian heard this, he felt a little awkward. I just joined. He could only beat around the bush. Anyway, I'm here to save you. Really? The female disciple narrowed her eyes. Her name was Lan Lingling, and she was a disciple of the heavenly devil horde under the patriarch. When she heard Ning Shuai's words, she didn't show much gratitude. This was because the ancestral master had said that those who saved you from an unknown background might not be sincere. She could not let down her guard outside. As an outstanding disciple of the heavenly devil horde, she naturally had to keep the ancestral master's words in mind at all times. Brat, I don't care if you're from the Tianma cult or not. You killed senior brother Lin, so Elder Yuyao will kill you. The group of beast-controlling sect's disciples glared at Ning Tian with murderous eyes. Elder Yuyao? Ning Tian was slightly taken aback. On the side, Nalan coldly explained, Elder Yu Yao is a heavenly venerable elder of the beast-controlling sect. He's said to be the strongest person in the beast-controlling sect besides the beast-controlling sect master. He even mastered the beast-taming battle technique. Oh, beast-taming battle technique? Hearing this, Ning Tian's interest was piqued. Although he was strong in beast-taming, he had yet to master the ability to make monsters fight. So, let's hurry up and leave. Lan Long's tone was a little anxious. Although this senior brother of an unknown background was very strong, it did not mean that he was strong enough to fight Elder Yu Yao. However, this handsome Ning in front of her did not seem to hear her. Instead, he said to the group of beast-controlling sect's disciples, "Sure, call that old man out. I'll kill him." At this moment, everyone in Shanghai City was stunned. Was he still going to provoke him at this time? Senior brother, I really wonder if you're a disciple of the heavenly devil horde. On the side, Lan Long was deeply suspicious. She glanced at Ning Tian. The great laws of survival that our ancestral master taught us clearly states that if you can run, don't fight. If you can kill in a sneak attack, don't fight head-on. The group of Tianma cult disciples behind her also nodded. If you can kill in a sneak attack, don't fight head-on. This point was indeed in line with their ancestral master's style. Cough cough, I'm new here. I haven't learned it yet. Ning Tian coughed dryly. At this moment, the beast-controlling sect's disciples heard that and were instantly enraged. Damn, kid, just you wait. The beast-controlling sect's disciples were so angry that their eyes widened. Then, a disciple took out something that looked like a signal and released it into the sky. Whoosh! Spiritual energy shot up into the sky. Soon, a big red danger word appeared in the sky. A cloud-piercing arrow could summon thousands of troops. This is the beast-controlling sect's distress signal. Oh no, let's go. Lan Long saw through it, and her expression changed immediately. The group of Shanghai City cultivators all wanted to slip away. However, at this moment, a cold sneer sounded. Haha, wanna leave? You still have to ask for my permission. In the sky, an oppressive aura appeared, and an old man appeared in front of everyone. He was dressed in luxurious clothes embroidered with various demon beast patterns. This was the 3-star heavenly venerable realm expert, Elder Yu Yao. Oh no, we can't leave this time. Seeing this scene, Lan Long and the rest of the Shanghai City people's expressions changed. Then, do you agree? Just as everyone's expression changed, a lazy voice sounded. Huh. Everyone was stunned. Elder Yu Yao was also stunned. He didn't expect that someone would dare to answer this question. He sneered and looked at Ning Tian. Nonsense. How can I let you leave today? Then what are you talking about? You. What a sharp-tongued kid. A cold light flashed in Elder Yu Yao's eyes. After saying that, he was about to control the surrounding demon beasts to destroy Shanghai City in one fell swoop. However, the ugly kid in front of him spoke. It's boring to fight and kill. Why don't we compare notes on the Tao of beast taming? Chapter 281. Wang Ren didn't even have time to scream. The flame-sealing Lion King swallowed it in a split second. Many of the surrounding people didn't even have time to react. It was supposed to be a battle between beasts. Who would have thought that a shabby lion would appear and swallow his opponent in one bite before his opponent's beast could be summoned? Wang Ren probably died in vain. How shameless! It was supposed to be a battle between beasts, but he ordered his beast to swallow his opponent in one bite. That's awesome. The disciples of the beast trainer sect opened their eyes wide and stared at Ning Tian with righteous indignation when they saw Wang Ren being swallowed in one bite. Isn't this Ning Shuaibi a bit mean? In Shanghai City, the disciples of the Tianma cult looked at each other and stared at Ning Tian in the sky. Senior sister, I suddenly feel that he should be a disciple of the heavenly demon horde under our founder. After all, he has learned a lot from our founder. A disciple frowned and said seriously, This, Lan Lingling was stunned. Her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Shuaibi in the sky, and a trace of doubt flashed across her eyes. This handsome Ning was truly a master of the ancestral master's despicable ways. However, why did the name Ning Shuaibi sound so familiar? As if she had heard it somewhere before. Ah, brat, you don't have any martial virtues. You're so young, but you don't have any martial virtues. At this moment, an angry roar came from the sky. Elder Yu Yao finally came to his senses. His old eyes were full of flames of anger. He glared at Ning Tian, wanting nothing more than to skin this person alive. Wang Ren was a disciple that he had nurtured for dozens of years, and he was very fond of him. In the beast-controlling sect, even the young master of the beast-controlling sect, Yilong, was no match for Wang Ren in the art of controlling beasts. Wang Ren had never tasted defeat in internal battles. His external battle record was swallowed by a shabby lion before he even made a move. How could he not be angry? Hearing the surrounding people's words, Ning Tian felt very wronged. How was he despicable? The patriarch was a great person. He didn't expect that after summoning the shabby lion, it would swallow the king's blade in one gulp. He couldn't even stop it. Roar, roar, roar. However, the Lion King was very excited and kept roaring at Ning Tian. Ning Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It turned out that the shabby lion wanted to use lightning speed to kill the enemies that were a threat to Ning Tian. Then, he could ask for benefits from him, such as a big meal or a few lionesses. As for why he chose Wang Ren instead of Elder Yu Yao, it was completely because it wasn't stupid. After all, it had to pick the soft persimmon to pinch. You can't do this. At this moment, Ning Tian was teaching the ceiling flame lion king a lesson with a serious expression. At this moment, this huge shabby lion king was like a child that had done something wrong. It just squatted in the air and accepted Ning Tian's severe criticism. Seeing this, Elder Yu Yao snorted coldly as a glint flashed across his eyes. Although this couldn't offset his killing intent, since this kid was so tactful, he would give him a quick death later. However, before Elder Yu Yao's expression changed for the better, he heard someone speak. "You shabby lion king, how could you do this?" That Wang Ren was raised by Elder Yu Yao painstakingly. How could you swallow him without saying a word? This is too much. At least leave some bones for him. If you do this, he won't even have ashes. Ning Tian kept lecturing the ceiling flame lion king with righteous words. At first, his words sounded quite righteous. However, the more he spoke, the more he felt that something was wrong. Roar, roar. Hearing its master's words, the ceiling flame lion king looked aggrieved and roared twice with a bitter face. "Oh, you still have the heart, not bad." After Ning Tian heard this, he nodded his head in satisfaction. Then, he looked at Elder Yu Yao and said, "Elder Yu Yao, my shabby lion king said that when he has diarrhea, you can wait for him. Your disciple might be able to poop out a little." Hearing this, the surrounding people were stunned. Diarrhea? Poop out? Puffed. Hearing this, the people in Shanghai City almost couldn't hold back their laughter. Poop out? Senior brother Ning Shuai seems to have picked up the ancestor's skill of infuriating people. Is Elder Yu Yao going to explode from anger? Lan Lingling smiled when she heard this. Her gaze landed on Ning Tian. Elder Yu Yao was stunned for a long time. When he finally reacted, his body was trembling. He gritted his teeth in anger, and his eyes were filled with flames. "Kid, are you king kidding me?" He stared at Ning Tian. "I'm going to chop you up and feed you to my beasts. An eye for an eye. Wait, this shabby lion king has something to say to you." Just as Elder Yu Yao's spirit energy surged, and he was about to unleash his ultimate move to kill Ning Tian spoke up again. "What do you want now?" Elder Yu Yao said fiercely, "My shabby lion king has something to say to you. He said that he wants to express his deep apologies." Ning Tian said calmly, "Oh?" At this moment, everyone's gaze, including Elder Yu Yao's, fell on the Lion King. Roar. The Lion King had a sincere expression on its face. It slowly raised its lion paw and raised a sharp claw in the middle of its paw. Then, it roared at Elder Yu Yao. "What the F***? I'm being looked down on by a shabby lion?" Seeing the universal gesture, Elder Yu Yao's defense was broken. His eyes were red. He had never been wronged like this in his life. At the side, the Shanghai city people were about to explode from holding back their laughter. Wait, are you sure you don't want to hear what he said? Ning Tian said. What did he say? Elder Yuyao's eyes were cold as he looked at Ning Tian coldly. He said that he wants to eat a person raw. I'm sorry, a person that tastes like chicken is really not tasty. Ning Tian said seriously. Around them, the wind stopped. It was as if time had stopped. It was silent. After a while, a furious roar reverberated throughout the skies of Shanghai City. Ah, F***CK. What a despicable lion. I'm going to eat you raw and use your penis to make wine. Spiritual chi burst out from Elder Yuyao's body. His eyes were glowing red as he glared at the Lion King. He gritted his teeth, clearly enraged to the extreme. Chapter 282. Despicable Lion, die for this old man. Elder Yuyao's face was ashen as he roared. His heavenly venerate aura enveloped the entire sky. He angrily looked at the ceiling flame Lion King and sent a palm strike towards it with a heavy gust of wind. Roar, roar. The ceiling flame Lion King's face was full of confusion. Feeling the terrifying pressure, it ran away. The lion's head was filled with question marks. That's not right. Master clearly told me that as long as I put up that friendly gesture, I would be able to obtain the other party's forgiveness. But why is this old man still chasing after me? Damn it, I might not be human, but you're a real dog. Soon after, the ceiling flame Lion King howled as it dodged. After dodging a few fatal attacks, it curled up its huge body behind Ning Tian as much as possible. This demonic beast is so fast. Many people in Shanghai City sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the Lion King dodge the attack of a heavenly venerate expert. Although the ceiling flame Lion King was only a sixth-order monster, its strength was extremely powerful. Although there were many Tiamat cult disciples in Shanghai City, they had all been transferred here a long time ago. They didn't know that the despicable lion in front of them was the guardian monster of the Tiamat cult. Where do you think you're going? Elder Yuyao's eyes flashed with a murderous glint. Spiritual energy shot out from his hand. Whoosh! This move of his was aimed at the Lion King's butt. Oh, whoa! Meow! The ceiling flame Lion King was so scared that it meowed like a cat. It immediately curled up its body. Oomph! Seeing the attack, Ning Tian raised his hand and blocked the spiritual energy in the air. The spiritual energy exploded in the air with a bang, as if it could tear the sky apart. You're also a heavenly venerate? Elder Yuyao frowned slightly when he saw this. His eyes narrowed slightly as a trace of graveness flashed through them. This somewhat ugly and despicable fellow was actually also an Empyrean. Old man, aren't you going to fight using the way of taming beasts? Ning Tian looked at Elder Yuyao with a faint smile. At this moment, he still planned to secretly learn a beast-taming battle technique. After all, he couldn't learn this from the Tiamat cult. Humph. Good lad. Since you insist on seeking death, then don't blame this old man. Elder Yuyao scoffed coldly as killing intent flashed in his eyes. He took out the imperial beast gourd and a golden light shone from it. A huge object appeared and landed heavily in Shanghai City. Rumble. It was a giant spider with lightning and flames flowing all over its body. A casual movement of its 8 legs could cause a house to collapse. Giant thunder flame spider. Attack? Exterminate this brat. Following Elder Yuyao's shout, the giant lightning flame spider's 8 long legs swept out, crushing a large area of the house as it charged towards Ning Tian. Elder Tian, let's retreat first. Seeing this, Lan Lingling and the other Tiamat cult disciples hurriedly led the people of Shanghai City to a safe distance. Senior Sister Lan, can that senior brother be a match for Elder Yuyao? After retreating to a safe distance, the group of Tiamat cult disciples looked at Ning Tian in the sky with worry in their eyes. Although Elder Yuyao had said that this senior brother was also a heavenly venerate, this was a competition of the way of taming beasts, a move that the other party was very proficient in. I don't know. Lan Lingling shook her head as her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian. For some reason, when she looked at him, the panic in her heart slowly dissipated. His back gave her a very safe feeling. We choose to believe in senior brother. Lan Lingling sighed and said, behind her, the group of disciples nodded. In the sky, Ning Tian couldn't help but smile when he saw the disciples of his heavenly demon horde acting in an orderly manner without the slightest hint of panic, as expected of the disciples he had nurtured. Then, he looked at Elder Yu Yao and silently said in his heart, System, use innate skill, dispelling doubts. Using innate skill, dispelling doubts. Use successful. Soon, a golden light flashed in Ning Tian's eyes as his gaze fell on Elder Yu Yao. The giant lightning flame spider charged over in the blink of an eye. It was also at this moment that Elder Yu Yao roared, Giant lightning flame spider, spider silk explosion. Hiss! A red light flashed in the giant lightning flame spider's sinister and terrifying eyes. Then, it opened its mouth and a sticky liquid condensed in its mouth. Then several white spider silk shot out. Shabi, get out of the way. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian didn't panic and only calmly shouted. The Lion King's huge body leaped and dodged. Although its body was huge, its speed was nothing compared to its size. Boom! Hiss! The spider silk landed on the ground and instantly blasted a 10-meter-wide hole in the ground. Not only that, but there was also extremely corrosive poison in the hole. These were enough to kill a 5th-level monster. Once hit, even the circulation of spiritual energy would become extremely slow. Humph. You're just lucky to escape. This old man doesn't believe that you can escape a few moves. Seeing this, a cold light flashed in Elder Yu Yao's eyes. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he coldly sneered at Ning Tian. Then, he ordered the giant lightning flame spider to charge over. When it was close, he used the beast-taming battle technique again. Giant lightning flame spider, bloodlight spike. Following Elder Yu Yao's roar, the giant lightning flame spider's huge body slammed into the ground. Almost at this moment, Ning Tian calmly said to the giant lightning flame Lion King, Giant lightning flame Lion King, move towards the ground. Roar. The giant lightning flame Lion King believed him and its huge body shot towards the ground. At the same time, the 8 huge legs of the giant lightning flame spider slammed heavily into the ground. Boom, boom. 8 spikes shot towards the sky from the ground. The target was right above the giant lightning flame Lion King. If it had been flying upwards, it would have been an active collision skill. Seeing this, Elder Yu Yao's expression changed slightly. A ferocious light flashed in his eyes. This kid actually predicted his prediction? Just good luck. Elder Yu Yao quickly calmed down. Then, he continued to use the beast-taming battle technique to attack the giant lightning flame Lion King. However, no matter how the giant lightning flame spider attacked, Ning Tian ordered the giant lightning flame Lion King to dodge. The most infuriating thing was that it was able to dodge every time. Kid, is this what you meant by learning from each other? You only know how to show off your agility. Seeing this, Elder Yu Yao opened his eyes wide and glared at Ning Tian. Is that so? At this moment, the giant lightning flame Lion King stopped. Ning Tian raised his eyes slightly. His eyes were cold and his lips curled into a cold smile. Next, it's time for my counterattack. Chapter 283. Elder Yu Yao could not help but be stunned when he heard Ning Tian's indifferent voice. When he recovered, he once again laughed coldly. Trying to deceive this old man by deliberately mystifying things? What a joke. Giant thunder flame spider. Use spider silk explosion, he shouted. Then, the white energy in the giant thunder flame spider's mouth gathered again. Hiss. Then, a few white threads rushed out. Seeing this, the corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up. Shabi, go. The moment his voice fell, a ray of golden light rushed towards the Lion King. At this moment, it only felt that there was an additional move in its mind. Then, its mouth was boiling and it roared subconsciously. Roar. The Lion King's aura exploded. A few flames shot out from its mouth and melted the white threads in an instant. It landed on the ground, and a few large pits appeared. Roar. Seeing this scene, the Lion King's already huge eyes instantly widened. It had grown up. It could spit fire. Seeing this, Elder Yu Yao could not help but frown. This kid did not know the beast-taming battle technique earlier. How did he know it now? Moreover, why did this move look so familiar? I was just lucky. Elder Yu Yao's eyes flashed coldly. Then, he ordered the giant thunder flame spider to use another move. However, the following battle left Elder Yu Yao dumbfounded. Boom! In the sky, a few balls of fire appeared behind the Lion King. A red flame appeared on its sharp claws. Its eyes were filled with excitement. How did it learn so many moves in such a short time? Lightning slash 3000. The giant thunder flame spider raised its two huge legs. In a flash of lightning, a strong force of thunder formed a powerful half-moon attack and blasted towards the Lion King. I don't believe that after this move, you can still. Damn. Elder Yu Yao snorted. However, before he could finish his words, his expression changed drastically. Because he saw the flames on the Lion King's body. It was also a half-moon attack. The only difference was that it was in the form of flames. Isn't this my beast-taming technique? Elder Yu Yao cursed as he glared at Ning Tian. What the hell was going on? Haha, this is indeed your beast-taming battle technique. Ning Tian laughed and admitted the truth. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up and he sneered. However, I've improved it a little. It's bigger than yours. Even more ferocious. Last longer. Just now, while he was using teaching and dispelling to learn the beast-taming combat technique, he was also using restoration martial arts to improve his moves. This is impossible. Elder Yu Yao said flatly. Who can improve this old man's beast-taming combat technique? Really? Seeing how confident Elder Yu Yao was, Ning Tian only smiled faintly. Then, he calmly shouted, Shabi, you've been strengthened. Quickly use flame slash 3000. Boom. Roar. The flame-sealing Lion King roared. Then, the horrifying flame suddenly rose. The half-moon flame that was only a few meters long suddenly became hundreds of meters long. Whoosh! The flame roared. Seeing this, Elder Yu Yao was dumbfounded. Damn it! My thunder half-moon is only a few meters long. You've improved it a little, and it's hundreds of meters long? At this moment, the giant thunder flame spider was holding a dagger, while the flame-sealing Lion King was holding a huge saber. It was a huge saber that was hundreds of meters long. Who could withstand that? Giant thunder flame spider, run? Elder Yu Yao did not hesitate at all as he hurriedly shouted, Hiss, hiss. The giant thunder flame spider let out a panicked cry. Then, it moved its 8 hairy legs and turned to run. 10 meters, 50 meters, 90 meters. In the blink of an eye, it ran far away. Seeing this, Ning Tian did not do anything. Just as the giant thunder flame spider ran 199 meters, Ning Tian's voice rang out. Shabi, chop it, roar. The flame-sealing Lion King's flame blade fell. Accompanied by the roaring flame, it directly cut the giant thunder flame spider's body in half. In the midst of a miserable cry, the giant thunder flame spider exploded with green blood. In the blink of an eye, it died. Seeing this, Ning Tian's lips curled up. Sorry, the Lion King's flame slash has a distance of 3,000 meters. It's exactly 200 meters. Hiss. Hearing this, Lan Lingling and the other Shanghai city people sucked in a breath of cold air. Killing someone's heart. I'll allow you to run 199 meters. At the last meter, I'll chop you to death. I gave you hope, but I also gave you great despair. My beloved pet. Elder Yu Yao's eyes widened. Looking at Ning Tian, there was only killing intent in his eyes. Kid, since you don't care about martial arts, then don't blame me for not caring about martial arts. Tisk, if you don't want to, just say it. Don't use me as an excuse. Ning Tian sneered. Humph. Elder Yu Yao snorted coldly. However, deep down in his heart, there was a trace of deep shock. This kid was too ridiculous. Not only did he learn it on the spot, but the key was that the improved moves were many times stronger than his. Since that was the case, he could only use his killer move. Shuh, he whistled. Following which, the imperial beast gourd shook. Numerous light shadows appeared and turned into monstrous beasts, appearing in Shanghai City. Including the few from before, there were a total of 13 of Elder Yu Yao's beasts. Since you don't care about martial arts, then I can only bully you with numbers. Elder Yu Yao sneered. His eyes shone brightly. Hearing this, Ning Tian looked over. These 13 beasts were not weak. They were all rank 6 beasts. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. You have shocked Elder Yu Yao. Rewarded Imperial Beast Battle Technique. King of Beasts. King of Beasts. Sha will roar and summon nearby beasts. King of Beasts? Summon beasts? Hearing this, Ning Tian was stunned. Very quickly, his eyes shone brightly. Without hesitation, he activated the King of Beasts. After activating the skill, the Lion King did not know why, but it really wanted to roar. Hence, it roared. Ow! The moment his voice sounded out, the entire Shanghai City started to tremble. Sounds rang out one after another. Those were the roars of beasts. So many beasts. Outside Shanghai City, there are so many beasts. At least 100. There are also tens of rank 6 beasts. The rest are all rank 5 beasts. At this moment, the Imperial Beast Sect disciples' faces changed. Zheng. At this moment, a gouging sound rang out. Without hesitation, Ning Tian played the sound of taming beasts. Instantly, these 100 beasts were temporarily under his control. Old man, who do you think is going to bully me with numbers? His lips curled up as he looked at Elder Yu Yao. At this moment, Elder Yu Yao looked like he had eaten *T. His face was extremely ugly. How did a good advantage suddenly become a huge disadvantage? Chapter 284. Roar. The entire area around Shanghai City was filled with beasts under the control of Ning Tian's beast-taming voice, surrounding the entire city. The disciples of the beast-taming sect, as well as Elder Yu Yao and his 13 beasts, were all trembling in fear. Despicable brat. You only know how to bully me with numbers. Elder Yu Yao snorted coldly. His old eyes were filled with flames of anger, and he ordered the 13 Sixth Order demonic beasts to surround him. Bully me with numbers? Lon Lingling and the rest of the Shanghai City people were stunned. This old man was too shameless. You're the one who said that you want to bully me with numbers, aren't you? However, Ning Tian was indifferent. Since he had more or less learned the beast-taming battle technique, then he could send this old man on his way. He lightly touched the strings of the immortal slashing guzheng, and then lightly stroked it. Heavenly music sounded. Clang. Instantly, the beasts controlled by the sound of taming beasts roared. Their eyes glowed red. Boom. Boom. In an instant, hundreds of beasts charged toward Elder Yu Yao. As they attacked, the ground trembled. A large portion of the houses in Shanghai City collapsed. Quick, block them. Seeing this scene, Elder Yu Yao's face turned pale with fright as he hurriedly shouted. Although the 13 beasts were afraid, they could not go against Elder Yu Yao's order. They could only brace themselves and fight. Roar! The fire-sealing Lion King roared. It was extremely excited as it charged at the front of the 100 beasts. Only now did it feel like a Lion King. Boom! The battle was about to start. Even if Elder Yu Yao continued to release the beast-taming battle technique, the numbers had already decided everything. The 13 Sixth Order demonic beasts let out painful cries as blood flowed out of their bodies. They only managed to hold on for a few minutes before they were pinned to the ground by the hundreds of demonic beasts and brutally slaughtered. Seeing this, Elder Yu Yao's heart ached. However, it was better for him to take care of himself. Taking advantage of the chaos caused by the hundreds of beasts, he wanted to leave. However, a figure appeared in front of him. When he looked over, his face changed. It was that ugly kid. Wait, handsome Ning. You're from the Tianma cult. At this moment, he suddenly remembered the incident in Zhengzhou a few months ago. When he saw Ning Tian appear in the sky, he immediately thought of something. Humph. However, before he could finish his sentence, Ning Tian appeared beside him in a flash. He sealed his mouth with spiritual energy and said in a voice filled with killing intent, "If you knew this earlier, you wouldn't have died." As Ning Tian's cold laughter fell, Elder Yu Yao's eyes widened and a trace of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ning Tian's hand, which was pressed against his chest, flickered with lightning. The violent power of the tribulation lightning had completely shattered his heart. You're shameless." Elder Yu Yao's eyes were filled with resentment. The life force in his body slowly dissipated. His body fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. He was instantly trampled flat by a group of monsters. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that a Nine Tribulations Emperor would use such a method to kill him. When Elder Yu Yao died, his connection with the 13 rank 6 beasts was severed. All of his defenses were shattered. Hundreds of beasts surrounded the corpses of the 13 beasts and gnawed on them. Blood gushed out, and broken limbs flew everywhere. Seeing this scene, even the cultivators in Shanghai City felt their hearts palpitate. Roar! Just as the group of demonic beasts were fighting to be the first to eat, the Sealing Flame Lion King roared. All the demonic beasts stopped and looked at the Sealing Flame Lion King fearfully. Oh! Seeing this, Ning Tian's eyes flashed. Logically speaking, without his order, the beasts would only be afraid of him. They wouldn't even bat an eye at the Lion King. But now, the Lion King's roar had actually intimidated them. Could it be? Is it the effect of the ancient Beast King bloodline? When he had first met the Sealing Flame Lion King, the system had said that its body contained the bloodline of an ancient demonic Beast King. Now, it should be because of the bloodline in its body that intimidated the beasts. I just don't know how powerful Shabai will become after completely awakening the demonic beast bloodline in his body. But, although it's strong, I hope that when it fully awakens, its intelligence will increase by a few 100 million points. Ning Tian muttered. At this moment, the Sealing Flame Lion King strode towards the hundreds of demonic beasts with an arrogant look on its face. The demonic beasts quickly made way for it. It walked in and started to feast on the corpses of the 13 rank 6 beasts. However, it didn't devour them. Instead, it used its sharp teeth to tear open the stomach of the beasts. After searching for a while, a pearl with rich spiritual energy appeared in the flesh. Oh, beast spirit pearl? Ning Tian couldn't help but mutter to herself when she saw this. It seemed like Shabai wasn't stupid. At least when it came to eating, it wasn't stupid. This beast spirit pearl was something that only rank 6 beasts and above had. Not to mention that it was crunchy. The key was that it contained the essence of the beasts. Very quickly, the Lion King found the beast spirit pearl in the stomach of the 13 rank 6 beasts. Under the envious gazes of the surrounding beasts, Shabai ate one by one. The hundreds of beasts around were drooling, but none of them dared to step forward. After eating, the Lion King wiped its mouth. Then, it looked at Ning Tian. Its huge beast eyes looked around. Then, it seemed to have thought of something. It looked at the 3-headed giant horse on the ground, and its mouth curled into an evil smile. At the side, Ning Tian landed from the sky. He walked towards the people of Shanghai City. "Senior brother, where's Elder Yu Yao?" Lan Long walked over and frowned. She looked at Ning Tian and asked. Just now, all of their gazes were on the battle between the beasts. They didn't see the scene where Ning Tian killed Elder Yu Yao. "Dead," Ning Tian said indifferently as she pointed at a pile of flesh and blood not far away. "Dead, dead." The people of Shanghai City were shocked and looked over. As expected, they saw a pile of flesh on the ground. TSK, TSK. Tragic, too tragic. The city lord of Shanghai City, Old Tian, was so emotional that his body trembled. Tears flowed down his face. He's finally dead. The heavens have eyes. Pei, You destroyed the statue of the founder. Retribution has come. The people of Shanghai City were also emotional. Thank you, senior brother, for saving us today. Lan Long brought a group of Tianma cult disciples over and bowed to Ning Tian. Chapter 285. It's okay. Ning Tian waved his hand. At the side, many younger junior brothers and sisters looked at Ning Tian curiously and muttered in their hearts. Although this Ning Shuai is a little ugly compared to senior brother, he's a nice person. Senior brother Ning, did the sect send only one person? At this moment, Lan Lengling asked again. Yes. Ning Tian nodded slightly and said with a smile, the grand elders trust me, so they sent me alone. So that's the case. Lan Lengling and the others were enlightened. Roar. The Lion King roared. It leaped over and landed in front of the crowd. Looking at this demonic beast that had just displayed its might, many people in Shanghai City looked at it with reverence and respect. Shabi, what's wrong? Ning Tian frowned and asked. Roar. The flame-sealing Lion King roared twice in excitement. Then, it opened its bloody claws and Ning Tian saw a strip that was almost a few meters long. He was stunned and his face turned black. Isn't this the whip of the three-headed giant horse? Shabi, what's the meaning of this? What's the meaning of this? A ferocious glint flashed in Ning Tian's eyes as he looked coldly at the Lion King. Horse whip? Hearing this, many people in Shanghai City were stunned. When they came to their senses, their eyes instantly widened. Damn, what a tonic! The group of male cultivators widened their eyes in excitement as they looked at the several-meter-long object in the Lion King's hand. Their eyes were filled with desire. As for the female disciples, they couldn't help but spit in their hearts. Who would have thought that this majestic-looking lion was also an old pervert? Roar, roar. When the Lion King saw Ning Tian looking at it like that, it immediately cowered. It could only gesture and roar a few times. Forget it. After listening to the Lion King's explanation, Ning Tian was too lazy to pursue the matter. That's senior brother. Can you sell this horsewhip to me? At this time, a Tianma cult disciple asked cautiously. Senior brother, I'm weak. I'm really weak. Give me some nourishment. Yeah, it's so long. Let me have a bite. Senior brother, I have a friend called Gujiang. He's very weak and needs this urgently. At the side, a group of disciples also joined in the commotion. Who wouldn't want such a great tonic? Hearing the words of the surrounding disciples, Ning Tian fell silent for a moment. Then, he revealed a troubled expression. Although I'm very fierce and don't need this, unfortunately, I have a friend called Ning Er. He's not an ordinary hollow, so... I see. Then, senior brother, you should keep the horsewhip. After all, friends are more important. Hearing senior brother Ning Shuai's words, the group of disciples revealed sympathetic looks, shook their heads, and sighed. Cough. Ning Tian coughed dryly before stowing this tonic away into her storage ring without batting an eyelid. It was a good thing, so it was better to be prepared. Following which, he looked at the group of monsters. At this time, these hundreds of monsters had already eaten up all the corpses on the ground. He activated the sound of beasts once more, dispelling his control over them. Very quickly, these hundreds of demonic beasts dispersed and returned to the forest near Shanghai City. The reason why he didn't tame them was because he couldn't tame so many monsters. His control over them was only temporary. At most, if he needed more monsters, he could just let the sealing flame Lion King use the King of Beasts and roar. Thank you for your help. Unfortunately, the statue of the ancestor was destroyed. Sigh. At this time, the Lord of Shanghai City, Old Tian, walked over with his crutches. He sighed, and his tone was filled with helplessness. He thanked Ning Tian and the others. Hearing this, Ning Tian looked at his destroyed statue and frowned. He looked at Old Tian. I didn't expect Old Tian to value the statue so much. Of course, the ancestor is the person I admire the most in my life. At the mention of the founder, Elder Tian's turbid old eyes actually sparkled with excitement. He proudly grinned. revealing a few sparse teeth. To tell you the truth, this old man often hugs the founder's portrait to sleep. Ning Tian was stunned. Very quickly, a huge question mark appeared in his head. This old man, don't tell me he has a homosexual fetish? He subconsciously distanced himself from old Tian. Old Tian did not mind. Looking at the half-destroyed Shanghai city, he could not help but sigh. Following which, he ordered the civilians to clean up the ruins. Junior Sister Lan, are there any more strongholds of the beast-controlling sect nearby? Old Tian and the others got busy. Ning Tian didn't forget about his business. He came here for two things. Firstly, they had to resolve the crisis in Shanghai City in the south of Dongxing. Secondly, they had to deal with the Imperial Beast Sect disciples that had invaded the south of Dongxing. They had to create a diversion so that the Supreme Elder could attack the Imperial Beast Sect. Now, the first point had been completed. Next, it was time for the second point. Beast-controlling sect strongholds? Hearing Ning Tian's words, Lan was stunned. She pursed her lips and pondered for a while. Then, she said slowly, well, there is one. It's in the Valley of Beasts to the east of Shanghai City. But, halfway through her words, Lan paused. But what? Hearing the key information, Ning Tian frowned and asked immediately. But the beast-controlling sect seems to have discovered something in the Valley of Beasts. The security there is tighter than before. Lan said slowly. Discovered something? Ning Tian was silent for a while. Valley of Beasts? Mysterious thing? What was it? A hint of curiosity arose in his heart. At this moment, Lan looked at Ning Tian coldly. Senior brother, are you going alone? Yes. Don't you need us to go with you? No need. Ning Tian shook her head and said indifferently, you will only affect the speed at which I kill people. That unintentionally flowing aura caused Lan Lingling and the surrounding disciples to fall into silence. This aura, it seems like I know who he is. Lan Lingling's beautiful eyes flashed with excitement. Then, she said, Senior brother, follow me. After speaking, she pulled Ning Tian to the side. Junior sister, what's the matter? Ning Tian asked. It's... Lan Lingling's eyes flashed with craftiness. That's right. Should I call you ancestor? Or senior brother Ning Shuai? Ning Tian was silent. It seemed like he was recognized. Shoo, don't say it. He did not want to expose his identity, and he did not want Elder Tian to know that he was the ancestor that he had been thinking about. Otherwise, who knew what kind of strange actions he would do? Chapter 286. Hearing Ning Tian's words, Lan Lingling nodded sensibly. No wonder she found the name Ning Shuai so familiar at first. In addition, this senior fellow apprentice had the same despicable momentum as the patriarch, so she immediately thought of it. And Ning Tian nodded and looked at her. You guys deal with the matters in Shanghai City and wait for me to return. Yes, Zhu. Senior brother Ning Shuai. Lan Lingling agreed. Okay, Shabi, let's go. After speaking, Ning Tian turned around and jumped onto the back of the ceiling flame Lion King. One man and one beast quickly jumped into the sky and disappeared. Lan Lingling looked at the direction Ning Tian left and muttered in her heart, do these peerless experts like to travel incognito? It's strange. At this moment, a group of Tianma cult disciples surrounded them. Senior Sister Lan, is senior brother really going to deal with the beast-controlling sect in the Valley of Beasts alone? Some disciples were worried. No worries. This senior brother Ning Shuai is not simple. A cunning look flashed across Lan Lingling's eyes, and she shook her head. We just need to wait for senior brother's good news. Hearing this, the group of disciples nodded in understanding. Shanghai City was surrounded by mountain ranges and ancient trees. Many powerful demonic beasts were hidden in the deep forests of the mountain range. However, the Valley of Beasts was the place with the most beasts and the strongest beasts. Valley of Beasts. Many iron cages were erected, and many huge beasts were locked up. There were many white-robed disciples guarding the cages. At this moment, a young disciple walked over and hollered at the group of disciples. Quick, quick. Elder Azure Lotus said that he wants us to kill these demon beasts and extract their blood essence. Release them. Kill all of them? Hearing this, the surrounding disciples couldn't help but be taken aback. It took a lot of effort to catch these demonic beasts. Wasn't it too much of a waste to kill them just like that? Elder Bu Yao and Elder Bai Lian said that if we kill these demonic beasts, we might be able to activate the altar with their blood essence, said the young disciple. Yes. Hearing this, the group of disciples nodded and walked towards the iron cage. Now that Elder Yu Yao was not around, it was naturally up to these two elders to make the decision. Boom. Rumble. As the iron cage was opened, the iron door slammed heavily onto the ground. Dust flew up from the ground, and a series of rumbling sounds rang out. Then, the sound of the iron door crashing to the ground could be heard. Dozens of metal cages were opened. When the dozens of demonic beasts saw the iron cage open, their eyes immediately flashed with a crimson light, and they quickly fled in all directions. However, the disciples of the beast control sect were already prepared. Their blades flashed, and their figures moved, killing the fleeing demonic beasts in an instant. Fresh blood flowed endlessly. "Bring me a bucket to collect the essence blood," shouted a disciple of the Imperial Beast sect. Following that, the surrounding disciples took out wooden buckets that they had prepared beforehand and began to collect the blood essence. The blood essence of dozens of demonic beasts was not even 1/10 of the contents of this wooden barrel. Continue killing. The two elders said to collect the blood essence until this wooden barrel is full, shouted the young disciple. Yes. In an instant, the entire valley of beasts was filled with the cries of demonic beasts. Soon, blood flowed like a river, and the corpses of the demonic beasts piled up like mountains. An entire bucket of demonic beasts' blood essence had been collected. The young disciple glanced at the corpses of the demonic beasts and said calmly, "Don't waste these corpses. Summon your beasts and let them eat them as food." Yes, Senior. The hundreds of disciples of the beast control sect nodded. A beast control weapon appeared in their hands. They blew gently, and bursts of light flashed. Hundreds of beast control sect's demonic beasts appeared and headed towards the corpses of the demonic beasts. While the beast control sect's demonic beasts were eating the corpses, the young disciple picked up a bucket of blood essence and walked towards a place in the Valley of Beasts. It was a cave. In the cave, it was scarlet, and all kinds of strange formations were engraved everywhere. Deep in the cave, there were two elders in green. They were frowning at an altar in front of them. The altar was covered in dust. There was a small groove in the middle, and there were some ancient totems around it. "I think this might be a switch for the Beast King's mausoleum." Elder Bu Yao frowned slightly and said slowly, Maybe." Elder Azure Lotus nodded in agreement. "Let's pour the blood essence in after we've collected it. Maybe we'll know." At this moment, footsteps came from behind them. The young disciple walked over with a bucket of blood essence. "Elders, the blood essence has been collected." "Very good." Elder Bu Yao and Elder Azure Lotus's eyes lit up. They walked over and used their fingers to touch the blood essence in the wooden bucket, then put it into their mouths. "Scarlet, sweet. It's really good blood essence. Come, pour all of this in," the two elders said. "Yes." The young disciple nodded. He lifted the wooden bucket and poured it into the groove on the altar. The dark red blood essence flowed in the groove, but there did not seem to be any changes. Seeing this scene, Elder Bu Yao frowned slightly. Could it be that they were wrong? Elder Azure Lotus waved his hand. "Forget it. Let's wait first." Boom. At this moment, outside in the Valley of Beasts, there was a roar. Even the entire cave shook violently. What's going on? The expressions of the three people in the cave changed instantly. A trace of seriousness flashed through their eyes. "Come, let's go out and take a look," Elder Azure Lotus said indifferently. Then, the three of them hurriedly walked out of the cave. They walked out of the cave. When the three of them walked out, they saw that all the disciples and demon beasts of the beast-controlling sect were stunned on the spot. They were all looking in the same direction. It was a cloud of dust. Their vision was a little blurry, but they could vaguely see a huge creature in it. What's that? A demon beast? The expressions of the disciples of the beast-controlling sect changed slightly. Since it fell from the sky, it meant that it was at least a rank 6 demon beast, which was equivalent to a saint emperor of the human race. Everyone, don't be afraid. Don't worry, we have Elder Bu Yao and Elder Azure Lotus. With the two of them here, a mere rank 6 demon beast is no match for them. The group of disciples swallowed their saliva and forced themselves to calm down. When the dust dispersed, everyone could finally see the true appearance of the huge creature. It was covered in golden fur, and its limbs were burning with flames. It was over 10 meters tall. It really is a rank 6 demon beast. A disciple's pupils constricted. Wait, there's another person on the back of that demon beast. At this moment, they noticed the person. They all looked at the back of the rank 6 demon beast and saw a figure. Who are you? Elder Azure Lotus asked slowly. His intuition told him that this person was not simple at all. Very soon, an indifferent voice sounded. The person who will kill you. Chapter 287. His voice was calm, but it was filled with killing intent. What? Elder Bu Yao and Elder Bai Lian's expressions changed, then they sneered. Just you? A mere person dares to barge into our beast trainer sect stronghold? Ridiculous. How ridiculous. Take him down. I'd like to see who's so bold. Elder Bai Lian ordered. He did not waste any time and directly ordered the group of beast trainer sect disciples to attack. Yes, Elder Bai Lian. Hearing the elder's words, the hundreds of beast trainer sect disciples all responded. Then, they each took out their beast-taming weapons and placed them by their mouths to use the way of beast taming. Waves of strange music sounded one after another. Then, the hundreds of monsters' eyes glowed red, and their auras became violent. Their scarlet eyes fell on the man and the beast. Go, tear this man and this beast to shreds. Boom. Hundreds of beast-taming voices sounded, forming a huge sound wave that entered the ears of the hundreds of monsters. After the order was given, they charged over as if they had gone mad. Roar. Seeing the hundreds of monsters charging over, the flaming Lion King let out a questioning sound. It's fine. Ning Tian shook his head indifferently. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile. Then, he simply sat cross-legged on the flaming Lion King's back. His indifferent voice sounded. Your monsters are not bad. Unfortunately, they'll be mine in the next second. Elder Bu Yao and Elder Billion were taken aback by his words. The disciples of the beast control sect were also bewildered. Haha, pretending to be mysterious. Elder Bai Lian sneered. His eyes were filled with indifference. Kid, you want to control the hundreds of monsters of my beast trainer sect? Ridiculous. If you can control these hundreds of monsters, I'll eat a monster on the spot. At this moment, hearing Elder Bai Lian's words, the group of beast trainer sect disciples came back to their senses and understood the meaning of Ning Tian's words. However, they were not worried because they were using the beast trainer sect's top way of beast taming. This guy wanted to control them? It was simply a fantasy. Really? Ning Tian's lips curled into a mocking smile. The storage ring on his hand flashed, and the immortal End Guzheng appeared before him. Immortal weapon? Elder Bu Yao's turbid eyes flashed with greed when he sensed the Tao of rhythm from the immortal exterminating zither. If he could have such a celestial artifact to play the sound of taming beasts, he might even be able to control 7th-order demonic beasts. At this moment, even his breathing became a little hurried. At this moment, Ning Tian's fingers had already landed on the immortal exalted Guzheng. His finger technique was plain and unremarkable. Clang, a sound as soft as a mosquito's buzzing rang out. There was no commotion, no explosion, and no excessive flourishes. Pooh! Ha ha ha! That's it? That's it? I was wondering how ruthless it would be. So it's just this. What a waste of his immortal artifact. Sigh. What a waste. Elder Bu Yao and Elder Azure Lotus were stunned for a moment before they burst into laughter. These two old men were laughing like 3-year-old children. The group of beast trainer sect disciples also burst into laughter. Really? Ning Tian's lips curled up slightly. He looked at the group of laughing beast trainer sect disciples as if he was looking at a bunch of clowns. At this moment, no one noticed. Hundreds of demonic beasts were stunned for a moment when the soft, mosquito-like celestial zither music rang out. Soon after, the red glow in their eyes quietly disappeared, and a deep black glow occupied their entire pupils. Boom! At this moment, a small giant ape that was dozens of meters tall suddenly turned around, extended its 2 giant hands, and smashed the original owner of the immortal exterminating zither into a meat patty. Ha 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 ha. Arg. What did it mean to stop abruptly? It meant to stop abruptly. The surroundings fell into a dead silence. Countless beast trainer sect disciples were stunned on the spot, and their eyes widened. What was going on? Roar. Then, the demonic beasts that belonged to them began to roar angrily. They instantly changed sides and charged at the beast trainer sect disciples. F***A. Run. The beast trainer sect disciples did not dare to resist at all. As the previous owners of these demonic beasts, they naturally knew how powerful these demonic beasts were. This, Elder Azure Lotus, who had just said he wanted to eat a demonic beast raw, was stunned on the spot. Ahem. He could not help but blush when he sensed the gazes of the 2 people beside him. He coughed dryly and said, "This kid is just showing off the power of his immortal artifact. As long as the beast trainer sound array is activated, the control of the demonic beasts will be easily taken back." Then, a faint light flashed in his hand, and a formation diagram fell into his hand. He threw it at the group of disciples as he shouted, "Quick! Find the formation position and activate the beast trainer sound array to take back control of the demonic beasts." As soon as he finished speaking, the formation diagram that was flashing with golden light instantly changed. When it landed on the ground, a huge formation appeared on the ground. It's Elder Azure Lotus Beast Trainer Sound Array. Seeing this scene, the group of disciples' eyes lit up. They suddenly had hope. Quick! Everyone, find your positions and activate the Beast Trainer Sound Array. With a loud shout, the group of disciples found their positions, and the Beast Trainer artifacts appeared in their hands. Each of them activated the Beast Trainer Sound Array. Boom! With the support of the Beast Trainer Sound Array, the group of disciples' Beast Trainer Sound Array was amplified by almost 10 times, and the effect was also greatly enhanced. Haha! With my Beast Trainer Sound Array. So what if you have an immortal artifact? Don't tell me you can win against the Beast Trainers of hundreds of people? Elder Azure Lotus was extremely pleased with himself when he saw this scene. Come on, increase the intensity and continue playing. Take back control. Elder Azure Lotus shouted loudly. However, at this moment, boom, they saw Ning Tian plucking the strings again, and a sound wave appeared. In just a blink of an eye, the sound wave formed by the hundreds of disciples instantly collapsed. Blarg, blarg. The sound of people vomiting blood could be heard. The sound of subduing beasts they had used had been destroyed in an extremely brutal manner. Even they had suffered quite a bit of damage from it. How is this possible? Elder Azure Lotus's expression was extremely ugly. He gritted his yellow teeth and shouted, "Don't panic. Continue using the sound of beasts. As long as this old man's sound of beasts is still active, it'll be fine." Holy shit. Before Elder Azure Lotus could finish speaking, Ning Tian played another piece of music. Clang. The powerful sound wave swept over and instantly destroyed the Beast Trainer sound array that Elder Azure Lotus was extremely proud of. Arg. Barf. The group of disciples standing in the center of the array flew out on the spot. They spat out mouthfuls of blood, and their auras instantly weakened. Chapter 288. My Beast Taming Sound Array. Seeing this, Elder Azure Lotus was stunned for a moment before he let out a heart-wrenching scream. The other two fell silent as well. Damn it! This is all a fluke. I don't believe you can kill them in seconds. A cold glint flashed across Elder Azure Lotus's eyes as he gritted his teeth and said coldly. As soon as he said that, the group of disciples nearby turned pale. Elder Azure Lotus, you jinx? What are you saying? Boom. At this moment, hundreds of demonic beasts suddenly rushed over. This caused them, who were already affected, to feel a deep sense of despair. Help. The ground trembled as the hundreds of beasts vented their anger on the group of beast-taming sect disciples. The hundreds of disciples looked so pale and powerless in front of this group of beasts. In just a few minutes, the ground was a mess as fresh blood dyed the ground red. Originally, there were hundreds of disciples, but now there were only 20 or so disciples left. Damn it, I don't believe you. Elder Azure Lotus's expression was extremely ugly. Ning Tian had not made a move yet, so the two of them did not dare to act rashly. However, before he could finish speaking, he saw a bloody disciple crawling over with difficulty. He said to him, Elder Azure Lotus, I beg you, please shut up. It's true. If you continue talking like this, we'll all die here. Elder Azure Lotus was stunned and shook his head. How can it be my problem? Then, he looked at the disciple sincerely and said slowly, Don't worry, you'll definitely survive. Damn it, my life is over. The disciple was stunned, and his heart was filled with despair. At the same time, the top of his head turned black as a giant foot landed heavily on his body. He did not even have time to scream before his body was instantly flattened. Elder Azure Lotus was stunned. Elder Bu Yao and the young disciple were also stunned. Poison. Gulp. Elder Bu Yao and the young disciple swallowed their saliva with difficulty and subconsciously retreated a little. This Elder Azure Lotus was poisonous. At this moment, Elder Azure Lotus finally realized that his mouth seemed to have some sort of miraculous ability. His old eyes instantly lit up as he looked at the remaining 20 disciples of the Beast Control sect. Seeing Elder Azure Lotus's gaze, the 20 disciples were stunned and hurriedly shook their heads. Please have mercy. Don't worry. Elder Azure Lotus grinned, revealing his yellow teeth. So he had such an amazing ability. He sneered. Poison? That doesn't exist. Let's see how I reverse poison healing you. Elder Azure Lotus roared and pointed at the 20 disciples. All of you must die. Hearing this, the rest of the disciples were startled. Then, they heaved a sigh of relief. According to the plot just now, if they were poisoned, they should be able to survive, right? Elder Azure Lotus had finally said something reasonable. As you wish. But at this moment, Ning Tian's indifferent voice rang out, and the immortal music of his celestial zither began to play. Boom. In an instant, several large bear-type beasts jumped high and sat down. The 20 disciples of the beast-controlling sect died tragically in an instant. Elder Bu Yao and the young disciples' mouths twitched. Great, they were really poisoned to death. Damn it. You killed my 20 disciples in seconds just like that? Elder Azure Lotus's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He did not care about the hundreds of beasts and charged directly at Ning Tian. Don't. Azure Lotus, come back. Elder Bu Yao's expression changed slightly. That brat wasn't simple at all. Their original plan was to stall him and wait for the powerful Elder Yu Yao to return before killing this brat. But now, everything was a mess. Damn it. Seeing this, he gritted his teeth and could only lead the young disciple to follow. Boom. The two of them leaped into the air. The three of them unleashed their auras. 2 heavenly venerables and 1 holy emperor aura appeared. Roar. The flaming Lion King roared. Under Ning Tian's command, the hundreds of beasts charged at the three of them again. Ning Tian did not feel bad about using their beasts to kill them even if they died. Anyway, these beasts were only temporarily under his control. They were not too strong. If they died, they died. In an instant, the hundreds of 5th-stage beasts charged at the three of them. Motherf ** Cur. Elder Bu Yao and the other two cursed. Although they felt bad, they still attacked the beasts they had raised. Soon, A bloody battle was about to break out. Ning Tian, on the other hand, looked at the scene indifferently as if she was watching a show. Half an hour later, Elder Bu Yao and Elder Azure Lotus were covered in blood. They crawled out of the mountain of beasts' corpses and glared at Ning Tian, who was sitting on the flaming Lion King's back and eating an apple. As for the young disciple, he was only a one-star holy emperor. In such a situation, even the two elders could not protect him. "Brat, you must die. Bu Yao, let's go." Elder Azure Lotus's eyes flashed with resentment. After giving Elder Bu Yao a look, he charged at Ning Tian. After the two old men went through a big battle, their auras were still stable, and their speed was still fast. Seeing this, Ning Tian unhurriedly finished the apple in his hand. Then, he fiddled with the celestial zither in front of him. His fingers moved slightly. Clang! Celestial music from the zither sounded, and a wave of pressure instantly enveloped Elder Bu Yao and Elder Azure Lotus. Their figures suddenly slowed down. At the same time, Ning Tian jumped down from the flaming Lion King's back. He activated his martial art, Flash Shift, and charged at the two of them like a ghost. A black light flickered in his hand. That was the heavenly demon fist. Following the principle of, I accelerate while you decelerate, it was the same as you imprison me. Ning Tian was confident that even Elder Bu Yao and Elder Azure Lotus, two-star Empyreans, would not be able to dodge this move. This is the Sky Devil Fist. This kid is from the Tianma cult. When they saw the fist and tint flowing in Ning Tian's hand, Elder Azure Lotus and Elder Bu Yao's expressions immediately changed. They wanted to dodge, but at that moment, the immortal enguging that Ning Tian had left on the Lion King's back vibrated once more. Their speed instantly slowed down by more than 10 times. It was also at this moment that Ning Tian's figure appeared before the two of them like a ghost. Activate, Fist Dao. The moment he activated his Fist Dao, Ning Tian's fist and tint circulated around his fists. Within a second, he unleashed dozens of sky demon fists. Aura, 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 aura. Muda, 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 muda. The wind from his fists whistled, leaving only afterimages. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.